It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here. Paris Martineau is here. We'll talk about the end of Sports Illustrated. Jeff says it's the beginning of the end for all old-style media. We'll also talk about the FTC. They're finally telling TurboTax, And why is it humans are so anxious to dig holes everywhere? All that and more coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 752, recorded Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. The Mole Man of Hackney. This Week in Google is brought to you by Collide. When you go through airport security, there's a line where the TSA agents check your ID, and there's another line, right, where a machine scans your bag. Well, turns out something similar happens in enterprise security. Instead of passengers and luggage, it's end users and their devices. These days, most companies are pretty good at that first part, right? Identifying the user. They check user identity. Maybe you use Okta, which is a great solution for user identity. But then you say, come on in, and those user devices roll right through without getting inspected. They wouldn't do that at the airport. You shouldn't do it at your business. In fact, 47% of companies allow unmanaged, untrusted devices in to access their data, which means, an employee can log in from a laptop without its firewall turned on or that hasn't been updated in months. Worse, that laptop might belong to a bad actor using employee credentials. Collide solves the device trust problem. It ensures that no device can log into your Okta-protected apps unless it passes your security checks. And you can use Collide on devices without MDM, like your Linux fleet, contractor devices, and every BYOD phone and laptop in your company. Visit KOLIDE, collide.com/twig. Watch a demo, see how it works. That's Collide, KOLIDE.com/twig. It's time for Twig This Week in General, the show about everything, and everything and anything. That is the smiling laughter of the one and only Paris Martineau from The Information. Hello, Paris.
Hello.
4
Happy
years
to be here, generally.
4 years at The Information. Not enough seniority to go to the party.
Not enough seniority to go to the 10th anniversary gala in San Francisco. You got to be 5 years to get that golden ticket.
Hysterical.
And I am just under the cutoff, unfortunately.
I think doing this show should count as like 10 more years. So
you'd think that, but whenever I bring that up, I get hit with technically that's a second job, Paris.
Oh, no, it's not a second job. No.
Wait. How many Washington Post and New York Times people are on MSNBC and CNN?
Listen, it's not a second job.
Agree.
Yes. You're just
think
part of their
that
job because they're promoting.
That's right.
And the networks love it. I mean,
we tell our other hosts, get on as many other podcasts as you can because it promotes us and it brings new audiences to us, right? Oh, well, that's all right.
I agree.
Next year, you'll get to go to the 11th anniversary party.
I'll get to go to which I'm sure will be just as wild as the 10th.
But you'll only get a Shirley Temple when you're there.
That's
true.
That's Jeff Jarvis, the director of the Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York, Emeritus. Not yet.
Soon to be.
Soon deorbited. Hello, Jeff. You and Jason did your first episode ex cathedra of AI Inside.
AI Inside. We just did it this afternoon. So it's like you, Leo. I'm doing more than one podcast a day. So I don't know how.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Wow.
It is, but it was delightful. It was just great to be back with. And thank you to you and Lisa for letting us workshop that podcast right here at Twit. And now we have it out at AIinside.show.
Although I will point out that we do quite a bit of AI content here as well. What you do that's different that we don't do very much of is you interview people in the field.
Exactly. That's what's going to. I think we do a story or two, but generally, most times we'll do interviews.
Yeah.
So today we had Rich Skrenta, who is the executive director of the Common Crawl Foundation, which is right in the center of the heat right now.
That's so cool.
kidding.
I've got to listen to that.
Yeah. So Common Crawl was the group that the New York Times complained about, in fact, got their stuff off of Common Crawl because that was how OpenAI was reading New York Times content, right? Something like that.
There's a story I put in today, I think from Wired, that now 90% of major news organizations have turned off the robots.txt to AI, but the right-wing places, the Breitbarts, are delighted because it leaves it alone for them.
Yeah, this is the problem exactly. In fact, that's kind of what Sam Altman was saying in his defense against the New York Times case is if you only let AI read non-copyright material, you're not going to have great AI. This Wired story says most top news sites, about 40 of them, and this is according to an Ontario, what is the name of it? The Ontario Research Group. Originality AI says that almost all of them block AI web crawlers. New York Times, the Washington Post, the Guardian, the Atlantic, Bleacher Report. The most widely blocked crawler, OpenAI's GPT bot. But when Originality AI talked to other news outlets on the right, like Fox News, the Daily Caller, and Breitbart, none of them block. Why do you think that is?
Because they want their stuff to be everywhere, and their point of what they're doing is to spread their gospel, let's say. Whereas the point of big old media is to sell this commodity they think of as content.
John Gillum, who's the founder and CEO of Originality AI, says if the entire left-leaning side is blocking, you could say, come on over here, eat up all of our right-leaning content.
Yep.
But that should be a cause for concern. I mean, I would want but this is, I've been kind of banging this drum all along, and I agree with Sam Altman. If you want the AI to be trained on as much as possible, and I don't think we'll see. The courts are going to rule on this, but I don't think it's copyright infringement for them to train.
No, it's not. I talked about this in my Senate testimony. They're going to try to shrink fair use down to nothing and kill copyright.
And that's what Kathy Gillis was
expand it so much. Yes.
When you were testifying, Kathy Gillis was on.
Yes, when you weren't showing my testimony. Yes,
and you can show it on your other show. Why don't you show it on your other show?
Yeah, show it on your second podcast, Jeff.
Kathy was saying that really there is a right to read, and I had never heard that term before. That is a First Amendment right. And that by limiting the right to read for these bots, you might be inhibiting it in general.
Yeah, and I've kind of updated that in my mind, is the right to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, because that is the transformative act.
But I mean, do they have a right to learn from copyrighted content?
As much as a right as you do to go in the library and get inspired. Yeah.
But I mean, the library and I guess like publicly accessible works is one thing, but do you think they have the right to a bunch? I mean, we've had this argument a million times.
Right. Well, let me turn around.
But paywalled content.
Let me ask you this way. What about from the free web? Because what they're trying to do is to say, even from the free web, you can't use it unless you license it. Do you think they have a right to read the free web?
I mean, yes, but I think that if the owners of those sites and the creators of those that content want to say, actually, no, we want you to pay us for consuming our content, I think they have a right to do that as well.
So can I jump ahead to a story, Leo, even though it isn't a democracy, and you get mad when I do, but it's very relevant. So there was a great story that happened just this afternoon where a federal judge ruled against Meta and for a company called Bright Data about scraping or crawling. And Meta said that Bright Data was scraping public data from Facebook, saying this is stuff people made public and we're going to scrape it, right? And Meta said, no, you violated our terms of service. The judge said, well, but Bright Data is not a customer of Meta. It didn't sign into Facebook. Thus, it isn't subject to your terms of service. It scraped the open and public web. You lose Meta, you win Bright Data. Then,
that's fascinating,
isn't it? Well, so one more. There's a coda here. So it's on the courthouse news service that I saw this, and I tweeted it, of course, all over obnoxious creation as I do. And then I came back a little while later to send it to a link to a friend, and Courthouse News Service stuck up a box interrupting you and saying, to read this story, you have to agree to our terms of service. And so they didn't put up a paywall, they put up a TOS wall.
I did notice that as soon as I clicked. Yeah.
Isn't it funny?
Very funny.
So I think the judge is right. I think that there is a right to do that. And Common Crawl doesn't take anything from behind paywalls.
That's so interesting.
So I like this piece from Esther Dyson in The Information today. And
just starting to read it.
Yeah. And I think her point of view is good. Don't fuss about training AIs. She's talking more about the worry about disinformation, but train our kids. People are worried about AI taking their jobs or competing with a myth. Now, this is Esther Dyson, who's an early venture capitalist. She's the daughter of Freeman Dyson, the famed physicist. Very smart. Has been covering technology as long as I have with her Release 1.0 newsletter. She's really good. She says, people worried about AI taking their jobs are competing with a myth. Instead, people should train themselves to be better humans.
Yep. Humanities.
She says, humanity is waking up to the challenges and opportunities. I guess this is a guest editorial. But yeah,
it's an opinion piece.
God bless The Information. I swear, you guys are getting better. And as there's more and more crap out there, it also the information is getting better and better. It also convinces me of the value of a paid service. I mean, the information is not cheap. It's $400 to start a year, and then you have pro version stuff, and you're doing conferences. So, but we're paying for good journalism, and we get it. And I really appreciate that, Paris. Tell Jessica that next time you don't get to go to the party.
Yeah. But by the way, if you'd come out for the party, you could have come up to be in the studio and you could have promoted the show.
Oh, do I know? I could have been in that chair.
No.
I could have taken over Twit.
Yes, that's true, and I wish you had. You're welcome to do so at any time. Humanity is waking up to the challenges, Esther Dyson writes, and opportunities of artificial intelligence. We don't yet understand our role. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Amen.
People talk about the unexplainable AI when they should be more concerned about the unexplainable humans running the companies that develop the AI. And then she puts in parentheses, hiya, Sam. People worried about AI taking their jobs and taking control are competing with a myth. It is. It's science fiction.
It is true.
Instead, people should train themselves to be better humans, even as they develop better AI. People are still in control. They just need to use that control wisely, ethically, and carefully. Amen, I guess is.
So I can't wait till I can send you the manuscript of my new book, so maybe you'll blurb it. This is exactly what I say there, is that we have to have people who study humans, not machines.
Yeah.
Demote the geeks.
Yeah.
It's a human network.
So anyway, I'm not so afraid of AI, but I am afraid of an AI that is trained only on right-wing news media. You know what I'm saying? Or AI that's only trained on white faces. Or AI, and on and on and on. Bias in AI is real.
Or AI that's trained on synthetic content, which scares me too, because who sets the parameters for that?
Well, and then that's where you get a real kind of vicious cycle, because if the AI is trained on garbage, and then the AI produces more garbage and then trains on that, it just really goes downhill fast.
I've pointed out to you my friend Matthew Kirshenbaum's piece in The Atlantic called The Textpocalypse.
Great name.
It's great.
Are we heading that way, you think?
It's a wonderful piece. Yeah, because he says that we end up with, if the machine trains on what the machine produces and it just iterates and iterates and iterates, we end up with a gray goo with no human agency.
Yeah.
It amplifies the worst of what we have done in the past. What we should be doing, I talked about this today with Rich Scretta, is all these publishers are pulling out of these public crawls and AI. What we should be doing instead is saying what's missing. How many voices are missing that ought to be there? It's what Wikipedia does all the time, where they acknowledge the lack of diversity of Wikipedians and they make direct efforts to go out and fix that. We should be doing the same with the web as a whole and encouraging more content, more contributions from different perspectives. But no, the big old guys pull out.
Yeah. All right. What about, this is sad, Sports Illustrated.
I mean, there's so much sad media news that has happened.
It's just, it's a pile-on, isn't it? Another reason you should be really glad to be working for a company that has a financial strategy that makes sense. You know, we're seeing this true on Twit. I mean, there's definitely an adpocalypse going on. And it's affecting, if it's affecting Sports Illustrated, you better believe it's affecting us.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's only just beginning.
And I don't get it, frankly, because the economy's fine. I don't understand what's happening.
Do you think that they're I've debated whether this is going to happen at some point. This is not going to be a happy speculation. But do you think that they think they don't need to advertise nearly as much anymore?
Well,
they can have direct relationships.
Yeah, if you're, we've been saying this for a long time, that companies really should be going to have direct relationships with their customers. Alex Lindsay said 10 years ago, he was talking about QuickTime. That's how long ago this was on the Apple. The companies should be making their own videos. LL Bean or REI should have, how-to camping videos for people who are, crazy about camping. And everything that's a product that they sell should be clickable. Well, that tent looks good. And you can click it, and it would show you the tent and draw you to it. And that was 10 years ago. He was saying that should happen. He said that's going to happen. He might be right. There is a role of influencers here that I'm not sure I like, because influence is a two-way street. And if you are an influencer, like you're a YouTube, I mean, I'm an early influencer, I think, but you have to be really careful. Fortunately, I come from a more traditional journalist background, so I understand the potential conflicts of interest. But there are a lot of influencers who are influenced by the money and products. You should see what my son is showered with every day, boxes after box after box of cooking gear, because he's a cooking influencer. And companies, not just cooking gear, send him lights and cameras and everything. So it's very hard if you're an influencer not to be influenced. It's one of the reasons.
What Taylor Lorenz's book is really about.
Yes.
Is that kind of corruption. They weren't corrupted by the internet. They weren't even corrupted by attention, but they were corrupted by the advertisers' dollars.
Yeah. As a result, what I do, nobody's going to do, but we cut ourselves off. I don't talk to PR people. I don't take loaner products. We really kind of bury ourselves far away. And as a result, a lot of companies I don't have a relationship with Apple, and they don't really like me. Not because I'm more.
Apple is one of the most controlling.
They're
companies
notorious.
When it comes to
right. But I'm not mean about Apple.
Products.
I mean, I love Apple. Yeah. We talk about Apple. I have the #1 Apple podcast. But for some reason, Apple has conceived of me as the enemy, and so
because you're not controllable.
Well, I don't know if that's true. I don't want to, but I'm not I don't want to be influenced by them. And so they've decided, well, you mustn't be an influencer, so we don't need to talk to you. And it's an interesting state of affairs, but I think it does bode poorly for old school media. Sports Illustrated laid off on Friday with a 7-minute Zoom call, laid off almost all of its staff, and then told the rest, well, you can have your job for another 3 months.
Well, it's even more complicated because it was a license deal when Time Inc. was the orphan child, and they sloughed off Time onto Benioff, who just did Layoffs today,
Salesforce,
and Fortune to a Thai businessman, and so on. Sports Illustrated went to a marketing company, which in turn licensed it to this company.
Well, it says Meredith bought Time. Now, Meredith is at least a magazine company.
Well, it was, but then Meredith was sold in turn.
Well, let's go down the line because, they bought it this isn't long ago, 2017 for $3 billion. 2 years later, Meredith sold Sports Illustrated to Authentic Brands Group.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what Authentic Brands Group does is license brands. In fact, one of the things they're working on is a Sports Illustrated branded hotel in Michigan. That's their
Hey,
business.
that's authenticity.
That's so authentic. They don't
Every
publish.
room smells like a locker room.
Yeah, they don't publish magazines. So they said, well, look, we don't know anything about this. So we are going to license the Sports Illustrated brand to the Arena Group, formerly known as the Maven. I remember them as the Maven. They own Men's Journal. They own Parade, which used to be like 100 million circulation. It used to be a massive.
Oh yeah,
It was in every Sunday newspaper.
It was the largest magazine in the country. Circulation.
So the Maven.
Do you remember Paris? Did you know Parade?
She doesn't know Parade.
I know Parade. I've
you
seen
didn't
it.
know
Parade.
I haven't read it.
Well, there
I
wasn't
know
much
of.
to read.
It's hard to
there
imagine the
wasn't.
circulation of these magazines because they were inserts in your Sunday paper. I wrote for a different one that had like huge 40 million or something, and
The ads were incredibly expensive, like $600,000 a page.
Yeah, because you're hitting everybody. Wow. Now a lot of people that Parade went into the garbage with the rest of the inserts or the recycling. Let's hope, but I guess enough people read it, and it was just it was a very light magazine. Anyway, they own that. I don't know what Parade is now. I don't see it anymore. So they licensed it, Sports Illustrated, for 10 years from Authentic Brands.
Their final issue was December 31st, 2023.
I mean, this was a magazine. This is right up there with Time and Newsweek, right?
Well, yeah, and the lore. I talked to a writer just last night who started a whole bunch of magazines. Who's writing a piece for Airmail about this. So he called me. And the lore around SI was when it started, there's two different versions of the story. It's either 11 or 14 years before it made a profit. Because it was so impossible to imagine a weekly magazine about sports. How could you do this? But it became the writing and the photography and eventually
the swimsuit issue. And let's not,
And the swimsuits. One he told me that the one issue of the swimsuit issue had $35 million in ad revenue.
Wow.
One issue.
It was the first magazine with circulation over 1 million to win the National Magazine Award for General Excellence. Won it twice. Started publishing the swimsuit issue in 1964. It's actually been around, or was around, since 1954. It's older than me. And it had some of the best sports writers in the world writing for it. I mean, some brilliant.
And it fended off other competitors. ESPN tried to do a magazine. It didn't work. The National started. Remember that?
Yep.
It didn't work. SI survived everything except Authentic Brands.
Frank
brief
DeFord.
plug. Read Magazine by Jeff Jarvis.
Yeah,
Yes,
Learn more
thank you.
about this.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is. I write all about this in magazine. A simple nice little book, almost kind of magazine-y.
It's pocket size.
Now, you may
It
also
is.
remember they got in trouble late last year, because they were publishing AI-generated articles with made-up author names. In fact, the CEO was fired because of that. In January of this year, 3 weeks ago, they missed their quarterly licensing payment to Authentic Brands Group. And that's when, January 19th, a couple of days ago, Authentic Brand Group terminated the licensing agreement. That's why, you can't publish a magazine called Sports Illustrated if you don't have that deal. So Arena Group said, we're just going to lay off the entire staff. It's over.
God.
It's stunning.
It's so sad.
Leo, at the bottom of the rundown, I put down a post that I wrote this afternoon before coming on the show, in which it's a post I didn't want to write, but I finally said I think it's time to give up on old media.
Are we old media just before I read this?
No, you're not.
Okay.
No, you're not.
I'm feeling like it.
No.
Well, what's
I'm
interesting
talking about
is
old newspapers and magazines.
But this cycle, which is a normal cycle, which used to be a 100-year cycle, is now getting down to a few years, a decade maybe. And so I do feel in some ways podcasting is now seen by a lot of agencies anyway and advertisers as old media. And they're looking at the hot new thing, which is
within
YouTube.
the life of magazines, there were cycles, yes. But you look at Time Inc. was a century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? 1920s until 2020s.
Radio got 100 years, right?
Radio got 100, but it's got to die in two. I think that magazines could have done what you do, which is have community, and they didn't realize it. They didn't understand it. And newspapers could have been different, but they kept on thinking they were in the content business. And I've had it. So now the LA Times has huge layoffs this week. Time
94 people.
Oh,
Yeah.
About a fourth of their union unit.
Paris, you are a young person who decided to make your way as a journalist.
My first 2 jobs ended in layoffs in this industry.
Do you feel like you're walking on a
full-time
precipice
job
here?
This is the information's the only full-time job I've had in journalism that I haven't gotten laid off from.
Knock wood. We're knocking wood for you, Paris.
Knock on wood, guys.
We'll keep on hoping they do well, and don't spend too much money on parties. That's how they can stay in business.
That's why we didn't get flown out to the party, because we're being
Good. Be frugal. No, you want them to be frugal. You want them to.
No, I think we do. I don't know. I think it's a really difficult time. I know a lot of people my age, older and younger, that have been laid off. They laid off, with the LA Times layoff, it impacted basically their entire business reporting section. It is so many phenomenal journalists whose livelihoods have just been ripped away from them. And, the LA Times is the only example of this. And it's at a certain point, it's like something has to give, because none of these journalists are going to be able to find jobs.
Paris, did your parents think you were nuts going into this business?
I don't think they
Were
thought
your
I was
friends,
nuts. I thought I was nuts. I thought it wasn't going to work out. And I was like, I'm going to give it a good 5 years and then I'll go to law school. But it worked out. So I don't know. I think they were a bit skeptical. And I think the second time I got laid off and I called them, they didn't sound that surprised. But it's quite sad.
Maybe we ask where the prior 2 outlets were?
When I was at Wired magazine, I was part of Layoffs at Condé Nast during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I was at The Outline, digital media publication helmed by Josh Topolsky, that after I got laid off, I was part of a round of layoffs that impacted all the staff writers at the publication. And I was kind of lucky at the time because there hadn't been that many big media layoffs. And not like The Outline was big, but it was notable, I think, among kind of the tech biz journalist community that they were all gone. So it got a lot of attention that I was laid off. And it's kind of how I ended up getting my job at Wired. But I feel so bad for all of my peers in this community that I see getting laid off now, because it is like every other day there is a new round. You're getting lost in the fray, truly.
Well, and I don't just feel bad for the people who are working journalists. I feel bad for us as consumers of journalism.
Absolutely.
Yes. We're losing. We just lost Sports freaking Illustrated. CNET is very shaky. Red Ventures is trying to lay them off. We're going to lose all of this. Amazon, which bought a DP review, photo review site, very, very, very good photo review site, was going to shut it down. Fortunately, somebody, a white knight, came along and bought it and kept it alive, but it was right on the edge of everything being gone. And these are really important sites for people. This is valuable stuff. Now here, let me ask you, because that's what ties into this first story. The New York Times is just trying to save its life, right? And they see
they're in better shape than that.
Well, I think the Wall Street Journal,
the New York Times is the grand exception. New York Times,
the New York Times is doing fine.
They're doing fine.
As is the Wall Street Journal, right? They're more like the information. I think here's why.
The Wall Street Journal, I think, is certainly doing worse than the New York Times.
Really?
The Wall Street Journal has a problem because most of their subscribers are old. And they're having a very hard time getting anyone under 50 to subscribe.
Oh,
and
interesting.
also, the subscriptions are based on a print product, which is difficult.
They've had tons of initiatives to get young readers. I've had students of mine who've worked on those things, and then they get laid off.
You know what the New York Times is doing to get young readers is they're buying up games like Wordle. Honestly, I think probably people under 40 think of the New York Times as a great place to play games.
But are they getting
The Athletic?
News?
Yeah.
They bought up The Athletic. That's where Sports Illustrated fans will go, is to The Athletic for sports. Or The Ringer. That might be a new media form of what Sports Illustrated was.
Vox was that in the original iteration.
In theory, see, I guess it's not being proved out by the Wall Street Journal, but my idea was publications like The Information or the Wall Street Journal make money for their subscribers. It's worth $175 for the Wall Street Journal or $400 for the information, because the information I get helps me make money, helps me do my job. So it pays for itself. New York Times, not so much. How is the New York Times doing so well, so much better even than the Journal?
It's the biggest brand. It has that brand position. It's been a national paper for a long time, which was a strategy that they did, whereas Washington Post wanted to stay local until it was sold to Bezos.
How's the Post doing, by the way? It's laid off.
Post is doing bad.
Badly, very badly.
They just did huge layoffs as well. I believe in the
they went through 100 million.
And honestly, at the same time as I kind of think it's wonderful to have a patron in the kind of the Venetian style, a guy with the infinite amount of money who just it's a toy and he keeps it going. I also think that's not a good thing for the general polity and for the independence of
journalism. That's why Bezos wants it to be sustainable. He doesn't want to have
to be the patron of it.
I think it would be good, a patron model, if the patron actually bought into that and was like, yeah, I'm cool with losing a couple tens of millions of dollars.
Laureen Jobs, Steve Jobs' widow.
She's done layoffs at the Atlantic and says she wants it to be profitable. I was just about to say that because I think that's a good example of a rich person that we all thought was doing this because she loved journalism, wanted the Atlantic to succeed. I think she does believe in those two things.
Her Emerson
but
collective
she also wants
has been
it to
buying up publications like this.
This is why I'm giving up. I mean, so next month I'm going to Scranton because their paper just got bought by Alden, the hedge fund. And it's doomed. We just know it's doomed. So what does the town do? And I'm going to go there and talk to people and see what they think they can do. But most newspaper chains in the U.S. now are controlled by hedge funds. They're not going to invest. They're not going to innovate. They're going to suck it dry of free cash flow. Magazine industry as a whole is dying quietly. Linear television, the FCC just said, we're going to support local news. Well, good, because before everybody dies off, why don't you help it out? Linear TV is going away. Broadcast radio is already borked in this country, not in Europe, but here. Old media is doomed. And I spent the last 18 years of my career trying to help new media and old media at the same time. And I think I was wrong. I think it pains me to say it. But I think it's no good to throw more good money and effort after bad.
So I have two questions. One, why is this happening? And two, what is the future? Why is this happening?
Advertising.
Is it all advertising?
It was an industry that was based on advertising dollars. And when the fickle attention of advertisers shifts from one shiny object to the next and to the next, industries suffer.
That's the only direct experience I have is with Twit. And for a while we did very well and we was very successful. We were able to grow. And it was all based on advertising. And as advertising dwindles, so do we. We're in the same boat as Sports Illustrated or anybody else. So, but I thought there must be other forces. It's just advertising.
It's also audience size. It's competition.
Audience size has gone down for podcasts. That's right.
Because there's competition everywhere.
Attention is diluted. There's somebody started an AI show all of a sudden, and now half of our audience.
Wow.
Flown. Benito, what did you want to say? Benito Gonzalez, who, by the way, worked at Twitch, which is another company that is on the precipice, not the pretzel, the precipice of failure.
I also worked at CNET, which is also at the precipice of failure.
It's your fault.
You're the reason. Get out of here, Benito. Leave.
Everywhere you work starts to fail.
They figured you out. You've been made.
Are you devil? Are you the devil in disguise?
Well, actually, the reason why I left a lot of these jobs also, I mean, some of them are layoffs, some of them I left, was because there were a lot of times where I rang alarm bells about things like the pivot to video and being like, hey guys, Facebook isn't going to give you any money for this. Yet you're forcing us all to make all these Facebook videos.
Yeah.
So it's the lack of accountability in upper management.
We dodged that bullet, by the way. Everybody told me, Twitch should move heavily to Facebook once Facebook started to favor video.
Yeah, I told you that. I
said I don't want to be dependent on Facebook, and it turned out to be the right by accident. Where did Twitch go wrong, Benito? Do you have any insight into that?
Twitch just has part of the layoffs of this round right now is that they hired like way too many people during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's common.
That's the big tech excuse. That's why Google's laying off.
Also at Twitch,
thousands.
like I hate to say it, but there were a lot of useless jobs there.
Yeah, anybody who's worked in a big company like Google or Twitch knows there's a whole layer of people who really don't do anything that you can get rid of. Yeah. I am here at this company. That's
the people
me.
who never get fired, by the way. And those are the people who never get laid off.
Of course not. They're the ones firing people. Sadly. Okay. So
Jeff, what
I
do
guess
you think of Pitchfork being folded in
Pitchfork.
GQ?
Another
now
good
that we're
example.
talking about
Another good example.
Media.
And that's
For
new
those
media.
who don't know, announcement, I think within the last week or two, Pitchfork, Condé Nast announced that they were laying off most of Pitchfork and they were folding the brand into GQ. I think the
Pitchfork was supposed to be kind of the new Rolling Stone, right? Rolling Stone for the internet.
Yeah.
Right. About music and culture.
Paris, I have to admit something to you.
Yes.
As one gets older, I've found that one's interest in music oddly declines.
Isn't that
'Cause
sad?
you can't hear lyrics.
It is.
It's so sad.
I'm not up on what the hip kids are doing.
I don't know why, but I tell you, it was a number of stages that happened to me that did quite the opposite. The first one was Napster. Because I remember when Napster started, I was like you, Jeff, old and in the way, and I'm not interested in music. And Napster, for some reason, reignited my interest in music. And I think, I don't know why, but they say your musical tastes end at 27. This is it. Like whatever you like.
Joni Mitchell, man.
Yeah,
Joni Mitchell.
yeah. But for some reason, I've gotten back into it. In fact, we just did something yesterday on Mac Break Weekly that's been wonderful. Apple added this new feature, a feature that has been around for years on other platforms, but Apple just added it. So it's new, of allowing you to share your playlists publicly, to create a public playlist with up to 100 people. So I published the QR code on Mac Break Weekly. You had to be an Apple Music subscriber, and I've got about 50 people, and each of them, we said, let's suggest one song, the one song. Doesn't have to be your favorite, just the song, and it's wonderful. And I've been listening to all this new music.
That's so great.
I know. I'll share it with you. It's been really great.
What are some of your favorite songs you've discovered?
Well, some of them, it's funny, are old ones that I've been around. It's called Club Twit's Shared Playlist. I'll put a link in the, there's only room for 32 more people now. We're up to 68. But I'll put a link in the club Discord. But I think I'm looking forward to hearing the Viagra Boys punk rock. I don't know what that's going to be, but then there's just been a whole. Listened to a Nils Lofgren song I'd never heard called "Black Books." It was wonderful. Disturbed.
You're gonna get taken down.
No, I'm not going to play any of this. Disturbed's version of "The Sounds of Silence." That's got to be good. You can hear it. Can you hear it? Yeah. Anyway, it's just. And then we've been talking about Peter Gabriel's new album. This is an example, Jeff, of an artist who was big when I was 27.
Yeah.
Who's got a new album that's actually his best album ever, in my opinion. So anyway, it's been really fun. Olivia Dean, I never heard of. The Limousines.
What did you put in the?
I didn't put anything in. I didn't want to poison it with my weird taste.
What would you put
I'll add some Lucy Dacus in there.
Thank you. Would you? See, I love this. So I think it is possible. I don't know why, but I feel like it is possible, even at an advanced age, to kind of rediscover music.
It's absolutely possible.
And that is the better way to do it. I would never start Entertainment Weekly today. I would want to start something like that.
So it's that C word again. It's community.
It's community and collaboration. Paris, to respond to you, Ezra Klein did a long lamentation based on Pitchfork because he misses it terribly already, and talked about Sports Illustrated and talked about all the others. And his point was that all of the big is fine. The little kind of is okay if you have a newsletter. It's the middle that's screwed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. But my point in what I wrote is that I just simply have not been radical enough, because what we've tried to do is still emulate what we did. We're still trying to create things that are story-based, content-based, rather than service-based and community-based. And I think we haven't. I'm known as a radical a-hole, but I haven't been radical enough. Oh yeah. But
Oh really?
Oh really?
You? A radical a-hole?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're just teasing you. You know that.
Kids
Jeff. We
today.
love you. Go on.
I'm self-aware of that.
It's just
I've been
teasing,
radical
really
enough.
is.
I've been radical enough. We haven't. We've got to fundamentally rethink. And an old journalism of making a publication and thinking that we control that public dialogue and discourse is outmoded. And mass is gone. I keep on screaming about that in my other book, parenthesis. And so there's a lot of movements around journalism, right? I helped start one in engagement journalism. There's cooperative journalism and reparative journalism and constructive journalism and solutions journalism. There's tons of isms now around journalism, but they're all trying to, I think, begin to reinvent the field fundamentally. And I'm too old to do it. That's what I hope my students can do. You, Paris, maybe you're not too old. Maybe you can do it.
Maybe there will be journalism that will exist in 10 or 20 years.
It can't be ad supported though, right? I mean, isn't that part of the problem?
Well, I think it's also the scale.
But I mean, I think also the issue is if it isn't ad supported and everything. I mean, this is a topic I feel like we've discussed in the show many times. If it isn't ad supported and the most sustainable method for journalism is subscription based, that means most people aren't going to be getting quality news because
unless you do membership based.
But I mean, most people do not subscribe to anything or a member of anything. Most people get their news from social media, just passively. But
some people, and this is the hope, the public media model is that 6 to 10% of public media listeners, public radio, support it so that it can be free for all. And by the way, Catherine Mayer, former head of Wikimedia Foundation, was just announced as the new CEO of NPR.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's brilliant.
After
NPR, another news outlet that's had massive layoffs in the past year.
Yes. And she brings a different perspective here from Wikipedia.
Now, wait a minute. NPR is not ad supported. Why did NPR have massive layoffs?
Well, they have underwriters, Leo.
Oh, it's like ads, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's interesting because NPR is more like the model.
Have straight out ads.
Yeah, the NPR is more like the model I would like to espouse to because a lot of NPR's support comes from viewers like you, right? Or listeners like you. You said what, 10%? 5%?
6 to 10.
Yeah.
6 to 12, I think is the high.
But apparently their model also requires a significant underwriting / ad support.
Oh, yeah.
And they get government
and
support.
philanthropy.
Yeah.
The government.
Their government support is like a single digit. It's it's mostly to the member stations that will receive like grants.
Yes, exactly, Paris. But they get philanthropy too. So it's the three legs of that stool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Archer Daniels Midland and companies like that.
Right.
So should we do that? Should we also have seek? We're not a nonprofit. It'd be hard to do that.
Well, Leo, maybe you could convert because
maybe you could get your AI friend to go on all these meandering walks to donate to Twit.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Jason Calacanis and Sam Altman.
Yeah, they should really kick in. So I think we've got the community part down pretty well here. In fact,
doing a good job.
It's the part of doing this I love is our community. It's really the only reason I ever did it. From day one, the reason we did that, I started Twit because I'd left Tech TV and I missed hanging out with my Tech TV friends. And I knew our audience would love hanging out with them too. And I wanted to involve them as best I could. We still lack kind of the good, this might be part of the problem. We don't have a lot of ways to engage community. Discord's probably the best we've got so far, but I'd like to see better ways to engage community. Mm-hmm, and so I did it because I wanted friends. And so I hung out with my buddies and then we record it and then other people would listen to it and we had a community. We always had a chat room at least going. And so it really was always about community. And in fact, the first 3 years, I really didn't do ads. I thought maybe we could just make this community supported it. But there wasn't a lot of money. There wasn't a lot of infrastructure to support it. So eventually we started doing ads. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I should have hung on to the belief that community is what really matters. But then you have to get money from them, right?
Yeah, you have to do that. And that's a marketing cost.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole infrastructure that needs to be built around.
We looked at when we started. I looked at being a 501c3. I did. I didn't know about public benefit corporations, and I would have done that instead. But I looked at the two different ways we could. We ended up being an LLC, but I looked at the two different ways we could do that. And I was thinking about 501c3 because then I thought, well, we'd have an educational mission. I just didn't have the confidence that would fund us.
That would have been hard.
And advertising is, but what's also hard is advertising has funded us so well that we've built studios and added staff and built shows. And we do a very expensive podcast. You could do what we're doing right now on, what is it? What is that Streamway? That thing you were? StreamYard or on Riverside FM for, $39 a month instead of, God, I don't even want to think what the monthly cost is.
That chair alone.
The chair alone is, yeah. We went to Restoration Hardware, and we spent more than $1 million setting up a studio. This table in front of me is custom built. You can't go to a really store and get a table that does this. And
the table is slowly rising to overtake me and Jeff.
You can't buy this in any store. You have to custom make this. So what was I thinking? I thought, I guess I thought, this is a good model and it should sustain us forever. And now the model is sinking like this table is.
Yeah, I don't think you can beat yourself up though.
How could you have known? How could anyone have known?
Yeah, how could you have known?
And you know what? I'll be honest.
Less than 10 years ago, people thought that BuzzFeed and Vox and Vice were going to be billion-dollar public companies.
That's true. I wasn't alone in my delusions, was I?
Yeah.
And actually,
I realized
the truth is, we've done this for 18 years. It'll be 19 in April. And it's been, for the most of that, very profitable and successful. And so it wasn't a bad thing. But maybe the time at 20 years, it's like, well, you got 20 years. That's fine. We're done.
Or you convert it to a new life. I mean, look at Netflix, how it changed three times.
It's hard to pivot. I quit the radio show because they weren't selling ads anymore. I'd done it for 19 years. And last December, a year and a month ago, I said, no, I'm not going to do it anymore because they weren't selling enough ads to pay me anymore. And I didn't really want to do it for free. But that's radio, right? And podcasting is kind of following, and so is the magazine business, the newspaper business, all old media. I mean, that's why, Jeff, when I asked, are we old media? I kind of think we are in some ways.
Well, in a way, the whole internet is old media because the whole internet is built around the attention economy. And so we have to break out of that. I think there are new generations of advertising we can imagine, but we also have to break up. Plus, we're wildly inefficient as an industry. Everybody rewrites everybody else. The original value created out of news organizations is not as much as they think because their business needs drive them to write tons of stories around trending topics to get SEO and clicks and likes. And that's the Jane, stop this crazy thing treadmill we're on. Is that a reference, Paris? Jane, stop this crazy thing?
No.
Meet George Jetson. Jane,
okay, I know George
his wife,
Jetson.
His dog Elroy. No, his boy Elroy. Anyway, you got it. Yeah, he was on that treadmill.
I like the blues.
Someday.
Yeah, he was on that treadmill.
Maybe Fred will win the
I really
fight.
like the episode where it crossed over with the Flintstones.
Yeah, because they're really the same show in a different time period. Otherwise, it's identical.
No, they're both in the same time period.
They are in the same time period?
It's there's a weird, strange fan theories about this.
Ooh,
yes.
Now I'm really intrigued.
Is this the Matrix
theory?
It's
a class. It's actually a parable of inequality between the classes.
It is. Blue collar.
Yeah, no, Flintstones lived down on the ground, and the Jetsons lived up in the sky.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's a Final Fantasy.
Oh, no.
My God.
Oh, Benito, I've never heard that.
Oh, my God.
So it's like Metropolis, right?
It is. Or what was that movie where Matt Damon has to go up and get
Elysium.
Elysium. I think we're headed that way, by the way. And right now I'm on the cusp between living on the ground and living in the cloud. And it could go either way. If we can only get you to join Club Twit so that Leo could buy a meat thermometer.
Some rocks.
And live.
He wants to buy some rocks.
He wants to live up where he can get a little bit of sunlight every day before the sky closes.
Oh. Yeah, it's this was in a way always what we have covered since I started covering tech, was how tech is changing the world so drastically. This is disruption in a nutshell, and we shouldn't be surprised that it's happening. It's a little weird when you're the one being disrupted.
It took 50 years, pardon me for this moment, you can all drink now, after movable type, before the things that we think of as books with titles and title pages and paragraph indentations and page numbers came along. It was copying the old.
First all they did was make Bibles, right? They printed a lot of Bibles. And that's the books.
And the ancients.
Yeah.
Humanists. And so McLuhan says every new medium's content is the old medium. And we're still in that phase, I think, where we're trying to aspire to something that was, rather than radically rethinking what it can be. I got a call from French people yesterday.
French people? Someone
French
just
people. Just random
you
French
look at
people
the phone, it just is the flag of France.
What's your name?
French.
Paris? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff, you don't have to be so coy.
So paid for by the president of France to decide what journalism is going to be in 2050.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fun. It was a fun
What did you say?
conversation. I said, no, sorry, John. I said it's not going to be, I said, I don't know. I can't imagine it. It's not going to be something that we think of now. It's going to be something.
Do you worry about the influence, getting back full circle to our first topic, of AI on all of this?
Paris?
I mean, I think it's an accelerant in some ways. I think if we go back to the Sports Illustrated example, you'll have, when you have companies that see what they are producing as solely content to garner eyeballs on ads, you will have incentives to use AI to create that content for as cheap as possible. Which is what happened with Sports Illustrated right before the fall.
That's the contextualization that matters. If you think what you're doing is serving a community and building a community and being part of a community, that's very different than you're serving content to sell ads.
Manufacturing content, exactly.
Because the content becomes deprecated in that case. It doesn't matter as long as you get eyeballs.
Content is now fully commodified and it's lost its value as content. That's my theory.
Yeah, and AI just accelerates that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so who wants to play in that game at all anymore?
No.
Whereas Paris, you're a service. Leo, you're a community. And
the information is a community. The information is a community, really. I mean, that's the strength of the information, is the community. In fact, they were very smart at the beginning to make the comments be an important part of every article. And you have such a good community and such smart people, the comments are often as good as the article, which you can't say.
I mean, especially because
else.
Yeah, if you comment on the information, you have to use your subscription full name associated with the subscription.
That was brilliant.
And that means sometimes you'll look below the article and Mark Zuckerberg has written 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
And that's a story in and of itself.
Yeah.
I'm so out of habit. I started comments when in advance. We started all the newspaper sites in 95. We had comments galore. Every newspaper and magazine site's gotten rid of comments because community is too expensive. I'm out of the habit, Paris, of even looking. I knew that was there, but I forget, and I don't read the comments, and I would love the comments. That's what I want to do. And now you've reminded me. I just, the whole media
One of the best things is, honestly, if you scroll through information articles and you just wait till you find one that has like 30 comments, then you know people are popping off down there. It's always very strange takes when you get above like the 20 or 30 mark.
Yeah. This is where I beg you, please, ladies and gentlemen, to become an official part of our community. Of course, everybody who listens or watches to any of our shows is in the community, and we love you, and we are very grateful to you. But there is a way you can step up that participation, and that is to join Club Twit. I almost feel like the club, I wish we hadn't called it a club, because club sounds kind of clubby. It is really not. It's a community center. It's a place where people who are interested in this stuff can go, can talk, can listen, can watch, can participate. It starts at $7 a month. You can pay more if you want. You can have a family plan, a corporate plan, a yearly plan, but the $7 a month is the base. And I think that's very affordable. You get ad-free versions of all the shows. You also get the shows that we don't put out in public. It's a chance for us to workshop shows or to take shows that don't have ad support like iOS Today, put them in the club and have the club members support it. Home Theater Geeks, Hands on Macintosh, Hands on Windows, the Untitled Linux Show, all are in the club. So that's part of the club benefit. You also, of course, get the Discord where you can participate with some pretty fun people talking about everything we talk about. Not just the shows, by the way. I think people might think it's a place where you chat about the shows. It is also a place where you can chat about anything that interests you. We have a very active coding section. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So if you will, we would love to have your support. It is going to be critical for us going forward. We don't want to be like Sports Illustrated. Frankly, when you see a big enterprise like Sports Illustrated fold and close its doors, it makes you realize we're really damn lucky to have the community we have to keep us around. And we would love to have you part of it. Twit.tv/club twit. That's all. I know I hate to beg. We're not going to do pledge nights, although maybe that's how you get to 6 to 10%.
Listen, I'll do a pledge night. I'll take the late night hours so you old fogies can sleep.
You know what we did?
24-hour show
that you would have loved, and it was so much fun. We only did it for 2 years. Lisa and I were watching the ball drop in New York. We were watching, Dick Clark's New Year's Eve. This is 10 years ago. And it ended at 9 because it was midnight in New York. And we're like in California at 9 o'clock. We're going, what? It's over. and I thought, somebody should do a show where it's New Year's Eve every hour. And that's when I foolishly decided to do a 24-hour New Year's Eve program that started with the very first New Year's Eve. I can't remember, what was it, the Solomon Islands? And then we did 24 hours, like 4 a.m. on New Year's Eve our time. And then we would go to like 2 a.m. New Year's Day. And we just did and John, to your credit.
Were you on all 24 hours?
Oh, it was so great. And John, to his credit.
You specifically?
Yeah. I hosted the whole thing.
You didn't sleep? Oh,
I have sciatica to this day from doing that. John, to his credit, did a balloon drop that you could, so it would drop and then you could pull it back up.
Remember that? Yeah.
Because we had to do one every hour. And then we got the cheapest champagne we could find. So we would pop the cork at midnight and drop the balloons. And then it would go on to the next hour. And the best thing, and this is where community really came in, is we would then talk via Zoom or Skype, I guess at the time, to whatever time zone it was, and they would celebrate with us. You came out, Jeff. The second time we did it.
I came out, yeah.
Second time
My pitch is something that a lot of the shows I subscribe to on Patreon do is they do kind of like stretch goals for like if you get like 10, 20,000 Patreon subscribers, we'll do something. I say you set a goal for if you get a certain number of Club Twit members, we bring back one 24-hour stream.
I love that. I would do it.
I'll sign up for a shift.
Good. You get the late night shift. You could do the trivia
So the other
contest.
thing is,
I'll do it.
I don't know if you know this, Paris.
Yeah.
Leo did other things to try. It was raising money for charity.
The second time we did it for UNICEF. And by the way, we raised so much money, we built a hospital in Guatemala for him. I think we raised $85,000. But in order to raise that money, Jeff and I had to do some awful things.
Well, I didn't nearly as much as you, but first he shaved his head.
I shaved Jeff's beard.
I shaved my beard off. Leo did with a very bad job.
Love that. Okay, let's bring back the challenges.
At the very late night hours, Leo. Go ahead, Leo.
I got a tattoo. I said,
what is the tattoo of?
I said, you can tattoo. You get to, I can't remember, if you donate a certain amount, you get to choose the tattoo. Yeah. At which point, Lisa came screaming out of her office.
She did.
And said, no.
Did someone tattoo the word butts above their butt?
Yeah, no, it ended up being just the world's smallest Twit logo on my behind. But we did it live on the air.
So your butt was live on the air?
Lisa had to go find a tattoo artist at midnight on New Year's Eve.
And so the only one we found, it turned out he was non-out. He didn't drink, because otherwise they were all going to be drunk.
Ideally, yeah.
And he did not want to come and do it in the middle of the night, but he did. We offered him a ton of money, and when he found out it was for charity, he gave all the money to UNICEF, which was really sweet. So that's where, to me, that was amazing. And Jeff came and Steve Gibson came. Many of our hosts came out for it.
And my son Jake was along.
Jake was there. Everybody who worked at Twit put together a segment. We learned how to tap dance. I played a chess match simultaneous with 5 people. I mean, it was just all a bunch of stuff.
It was great. It was great.
I don't know if it was good entertainment.
We got to bring some of these things back. I think this sounds so entertaining.
I know.
I feel like this would be a great
that is community.
membership building tool.
Dan Stark posted a picture of his 8-year-old son. And by the way, his son is now in college celebrating New Year's Eve with us. And the champagne bottle. I think that's really great. He's now in college. So this was 2015. This was 8 years ago.
No, you got to show the photo below that in which you're going full Alex Jones.
This one?
It just looks like you.
Well, I shaved my head.
It's giving Alex Jones to me.
It does have that Alex Jones look.
Lisa was not happy about that either. She was pissed.
Oh, she was mad. Well, you know why? Because we were getting married that month. And I forgot
that'll do it.
That I was going to be bald for all my wedding photos.
You look like an egg.
Yeah, that's the other thing I learned. This shape of my head is not good. It's good I have hair. Let's just put it that way. It's not good.
You do look like Mark Andreessen, yeah.
Yeah. I do love our community. I really do. And I want to keep doing this. And it makes me so sad when I see Sports Illustrated, the Pitchfork, Gimlet Media, so many of these outlets just
see. But on the other hand, in a way, God bless Mark Benioff for buying Time Magazine. But on the other hand, why Benioff? Why? Who needs Time Magazine? It's outmoded. Holding on to you could have put that money toward. And you're an entrepreneur. You could have thought entrepreneurially about journalism and supported all kinds of new things. Here in New Jersey, the New Jersey News Commons at Montclair State, which I helped start, I'm proud to say, 10 years ago, has 400 some members. Organizations and individuals who are doing journalism here in New Jersey locally. The Lion has about 400 members who are doing local across the country. INN for nonprofit news, another 400 members. That's what we have to start supporting. Today, the 19th, created a new network across about 2 or 3 dozen sites where they're going to be able to share news with each other. That's the way to think.
What I'm afraid of is that a lot of, at least in the interim, a lot of companies will turn to AI-generated content and really link bait. And you see it with the news, the 24-hour news channels. They've been going down this road for years. And they're really now just playing really hard to their constituencies. And they're not doing a good job of covering news. Meanwhile, the networks have long ago cut the cord on what was at the time just kind of pro bono. They never made money in news, but they knew they had to do it. They've been cutting back. And so all you have now in television news, whether it's on your locals, I couldn't believe, I watched the NBC Nightly News the other day. It was like hard copy. It was like Jerry.
I haven't watched in ages.
Oh my God. They had some, the guy who was doing it had this kind of announcer voice and they had flash. And then it was like, this is happening here. This is happening. And if you watched it, your heart rate would go up. Your blood pressure would go up. But they know that's sticky. You're going to watch that. That's going to work. And so the perverse incentive of trying to survive in this age without doing the right thing, the community thing, is it goes downhill really fast.
Yeah.
And that's not good for us. That's not good for our society.
No, it's not.
And it's not just the U.S. It's happening all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of fear for the future.
Chaos will come first before we invent that which is new. We try to aspire to the old.
The beginning of a villain monologue, Jeff.
I know. Chaos will come first.
No, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess, I was saying we're seeing the disruption that we always knew would come with technology and the internet, but that's chaos.
I've been telling people for 20 years now in newspapers, you must pick a date at which print is unsustainable. And if you are not sustainable digitally by that date, then you're dead. And that's been true over and over and over again. And in Ezra Klein's lamentation, he included the fact that the Alabama papers for Advance are out of print as one of the bad signs. And I said, no, that's a good sign that they've survived past print. They turned off the press and they're serving an audience and they're being innovative. And that's what we want to do, is get past the old. If you go to Europe, the proportion of digital revenue in a lot of these newspapers is still in single digits. They're effed.
Wow.
They're in deep shirt.
It's funny because it used to be that you would watch Walter Cronkite or Huntley Brinkley, not because they told you what you wanted to hear, right?
Well, it would be because they were the only thing you could watch.
Exactly.
That was your choice. That was
and
all
if you
could
were
watch.
Black or Latino or LGBTQ
good point.
or Native, it was not the way it was
Right.
for you.
Right.
Right? It was
For most people, it was not the way it was.
Yeah.
Tonight, the terrifying moments aboard an Alaska Airlines flight after a hole blows open in the cabin at 17,000 feet. The FAA.
Listen to the music.
Other planes. New video shows the dramatic near
I feel like
disaster,
I'm-
a nightmare.
This is like, to me, it's like TMZ.
nightmare.
On
Yeah.
one child sucked out.
Well, it's because,
it's the
again,
present
the thing they're
tense.
optimizing for is to keep you watching till the ads.
Yeah, this is
This
not,
is doom scrolling, folks.
This is not-
They invented doom scrolling.
yeah. It's not network news like I remember it.
Safe.
It's very
The
snappy,
storm
fast
system
edits.
Pushing into the northeast, snow and ice triggering a series of crashes.
Crashes.
50 million
If it
Americans
bleeds, it
bracing
leads.
for a
This used to be the
serious
local
snowfall.
news that would do
Some
this.
Major cities get their first significant snow in nearly
Well, we don't have
2
local news
years.
anymore. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Why was
Yeah.
the defense secretary's health scare kept secret?
This is like,
Austin
this is,
was in the ICU for
do you feel
4
your
days
blood pressure going up?
not
Yep.
telling the president
Yep.
or the
This is the network. This is the freaking network news.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's worked. Worked.
And now they're going to take us down because I dared to show a clip. That was commentary. Fair use. Fair use. You're not going to believe
Pay
it.
for
Spoke over almost all of it. It's the Mystery Science Theater 3000
That's right.
rule.
That's damn right.
We're just as funny.
They want to kill fair use, too.
Here's some good
We're gonna be paid
news.
for everything.
For people who end up on Instagram late at night spending money,
Who could that be?
Instagram
Who do we
has
know?
new nighttime nudges, or should I say nudges, aimed at reducing teams' time on the app. You want to get
But old men, stay as long as you like.
time for a break? It's getting late. Consider closing Instagram for the night. TikTok does this right after a few
Yeah.
thousand swipes.
They'll be like, you've been scrolling for far too long.
Okay.
Please touch grass.
And they do it like there's an influencer, like a TikTok person saying, "Hey, I noticed you've been staying up late." But Paris, like me, and that actually makes me want to scroll more. It's like, screw you. I'm going. I flip up immediately and go on. Do you stop?
I
Do you
can't
go
really
to bed?
remember the last time I've seen that, but I don't think that's
it's
ever
only
swayed
me.
me. I think, when I get told something, I must rebel against it.
Yeah. And I imagine, and we're not even teenagers, I imagine teenagers seeing this. Hey, it's getting late. Consider
You're
closing
not my
Instagram
mom.
for that. You're not my mom.
You think that's actually what they want?
No, of course. They want you to keep going. They don't want you to stop.
No, they just want to have something there so that when people say,
show
you're
Congress.
enabling
Yeah.
teenagers' worst behaviors, you're
Right.
like, no, we told them to take a break.
No, we're not.
Maybe
See?
do they know that we all will say "screw you" when we see that, and we'll just
Yes,
keep
of
going?
course they know. They've got the data.
Because if it really this is all speculation. If it really made a drastic difference in the time users were spending on the app, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's
because they have to optimize for, daily active user minutes. Or
Yeah, it's like give us less money, please, right?
yeah, please take away our money. Make it harder for us to
and
get
also,
advertisers.
it also telegraphs you love us, don't you? Right? You're a super fan.
Yeah, that's right. You're part of the club. Amazon is finally bowing to pressure, and they are going to stop letting your local police request doorbell video. For a long time, Ring without a warrant would just pay. They didn't give the police departments the footage. They'd ask you if it's okay. The program allowed law enforcement to seek footage from users on a voluntary basis. Now, police and fire departments will have to seek a warrant to request footage from users. or at least show the company evidence of an ongoing emergency. Yeah, we've got a hostage situation across the street. We see there's a doorbell camera. Can you give us that video?
By the way, I'm in the market now. What do you recommend, Leo, for home security?
Like a doorbell cam? By the way, if the one camera
3
you
to 8
should get is a doorbell
Rottweilers.
cam. Even in an apartment, I think a doorbell cam is a great thing.
What about other security cameras and motion detectors and
my
windows
experience,
and all that stuff?
I had all the Nests. I have a Hello doorbell, which is the Google doorbell camera. I had a Ring before that. I think they're both very similar. There are some less expensive choices from Eufy and Wise and others, and I think it's fine. A doorbell camera is useful. You can see who's at the door. If it works with Amazon's Echo or your Google Home Assistant, it'll say, I can't hear the doorbell ring. But I can. But when somebody rings our doorbell, the Google Assistant says, "Someone's at the front door." It shouts.
What?
They don't miss that. It's very loud, and it's everywhere in the house. It supposedly, and I don't know why I've never got this working. It's supposed to know who's at the front door, and if it's somebody like Lisa's trying to get in, it would do that. But it doesn't ever do that. It just says someone. I don't know. There's someone at the front door. So that's useful. Also, if you get packages dropped off, it'll show that. It'll show, and one time somebody drove over a mailbox, and I had a video of that too. So that's useful. But I also put cameras around the house and outside, and it just made me paranoid. And it never showed anything, but it made me check it and stuff. And our brother-in-law is really bad. My brother-in-law, is even when he's visiting, he's looking at his phone all the time to see if there's anybody at his house. So I think
That's a disease.
It's a disease. I don't think it sets up the right mental state. If you're
right.
getting, are you getting a lot of incursions into your?
No, just the neighborhood. Yeah, the neighborhood we are.
Yeah, you might be. Get the doorbell camera. I think a doorbell camera it's easy to install. I like the Hello. In theory, the Hello is supposed to identify people, but
All right, thank you for that advice. I'm sorry.
Your porch is where people will go. If you're worried about, are the deer eating my dog food on the back porch? John, how many cameras do you have? Here, hand me your iPad. I could show people. So John, do you think this is a good idea, Jammer B? He can always look and see what's going on in his neighborhood.
Wow.
Has anything ever happened? Yes. What happened? Couple of times. Teenagers. Oh, well, say no more.
Oh,
they were doing ding and dash or dong and dash, ding dong and dash.
Oh, they were ringing your doorbell and running away?
Yeah.
That's never happened before in the history of the world.
He has video. I know who you are.
Young sir.
And Liz shared it with Next Door.
College now.
Man, must be hard to be a kid these days.
This is another reason why you shouldn't subscribe to Next Door or that other one. What's the other one? Neighborhood? Because it just makes you nuts.
Yeah.
There's a guy walking around. Aimless.
Or citizen.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's an African American. And it's just terrible. It's the most racist, horrible stuff.
Yep.
And if you really wanted to know if somebody was doing the ding dong and dash, what is it called? You must know, Paris. You're a young person.
Doorbell ditch.
That sounds like
Doorbell
Trump
ditch.
describing a launch.
Ding dong and dash.
Ding Dash, the new product from DoorDash.
It's good. We don't bring you food. We just ring your doorbell and run away.
We just ring your doorbell, take an unflattering photo of you, and run away. That's all you get.
DoorDash.
Ding dong and dash.
I think it makes
No
people
food.
paranoid, and but if you live in an area where there's a lot of porch thieves, package thieves, that would be good.
Or not.
I think there's also this deterrent effect of having, because people know now what a Ring doorbell looks like, and having that on your front door, even if you don't hook it up, people think, well, I'm on camera, I'm not going to, do anything.
Does that do anything for porch pirates?
I think it does.
What are they going to do? What are you going to do if you see someone on your camera taking
Well,
your
all of
package?
these things have microphones and speakers, so you can say, her. Get away from her.
But I mean, would that stop them? They could just take
They
the
go,
package and ding dong
"What?
and dash.
What? Get away from her. I'm sorry, what?
Sorry,
Get away from her.
I think your mic is in your mouth, sir. Did you say that again?
Could you speak more clearly? Now, Ring on their website has, this was one of the, when we used to do the Ring ads before Amazon bought them, we would all have great fun showing all the videos people would upload of, all kinds of things. And a lot of times it does work when you're like somebody's trying to steal your car and you say, I'm calling the police right now. They go. Oh, wow, that's interesting. I've just learned something. See, this is why I love our community. This is from the Club Twit Discord. There is apparently something called Knock Knock Ginger. It's on Wikipedia, also known as
red-haired people do it. What?
Ding Dong Ditch and Ring and Run. It's a prank or game dating back to the 19th century England, or possibly the earlier Cornish.
I just imagine John like as an old Englishman raising his fist.
It was in Cornwall, the traditional holiday of Nickanan Night. By the way, the annotation on Wikipedia here says dubious. Discuss. Which I've never seen, by the way, in all my years on Wikipedia. Dubious. Discuss. The game is played by
dubious. Click on dubious. I want to see what's dubious.
No, you got to click on discuss.
Oh,
Dubious takes you to something else.
It's a disputed
It says, unless
statement.
I'm missing something, there's no reason for the title of this article to be capitalized. It's simply a children's game or tradition. You can compare it to the rest of the articles.
Oh, my
I
God.
love
The
Wikipedia drama.
pedantry.
Have you ever, are you a Wikipedia editor? I feel like you would be.
No, but I think I'm afraid to start because I think it could be a compulsion.
I think so.
And I don't probably need that in my life.
Who is the person, I'm only dimly remembering this, who edited thousands and thousands of articles just to replace one grammatical error?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. It's like a specific wording. They prefer the other one, and they've changed every instance of it in Wikipedia history. The Depths of Wikipedia writer, Annie, I'm forgetting her last name, has written about it.
The guy edited 50,000 Wikipedia articles to fix a grammar error that's not even an error. His name is Andrew McMillan. Oh, no, wait a minute. This is a long read from Medium by Andrew McMillan talking about one man's quest to rid Wikipedia of exactly one grammatical mistake. He didn't like it that people would use the word comprise instead of contains. Composed of. He doesn't want, he eliminates uses of comprise as a synonym for compose. 50,000 edits. And that's what you're talking about.
Brian Henderson.
Yeah.
I believe is his name.
A fun date, to be sure.
Do you know how many articles on Wikipedia they misuse the word comprise? I could tell you. So knock knock ginger or knock down ginger or knocky door ginger used in parts of southern England. In fact, here's an English poem found in the Childhood in Poetry collection. Ginger, ginger, broke a window. Hit the window crack. The baker came out to give him a clout and landed on his back. Thank you very much.
What fun.
Please don't.
What fun.
Don't send us letters.
That article felt like bullying.
Do you feel bullied? Benito
Not
feels
me,
bullied.
Not me personally, but I'm sure gingers feel bullied.
Yeah, maybe was it only to redheaded people that they would do that? I don't know.
The Brits have something about redheaded people. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's weird.
I love gingers, but you can see why
do
Prince
too.
Harry felt bad if that's the case. I mean, he was an aggressively ginger person. Do you remember Ello?
Barely.
Ello?
I think you're too young for it.
I kickstarted this. So back in the day, in 2014, when you were 8 years old, there was a Kickstarter for a Facebook replacement that would never, ever sell your information. The manifesto on the homepage said, your social network, Facebook, is owned by advertisers. Every post you share, every friend you make, every link you follow, I'll be watching. Oh, no, that's the police. Is tracked, recorded, and converted into data. Advertisers buy your data so they could show you more ads. You are the product that's bought and sold. We believe there's a better way. A social network where you're not the product. I joined it. In fact, I think I put into the Kickstarter for it.
When was the last time you posted on Ello?
It was like 2014 plus one.
Yeah.
Can you log in?
Yeah. Well, you can't anymore because, and this is from Waxy Links, the wonderful Andy Bio, who's been covering the internet since, we were all toddlers. Ello very early on realized, well, if you don't have advertisers, you don't have revenue. And this stuff costs money. Andy, back in 2014, 1 month after it opened, dug through SEC filings to find out they had $500,000 in seed funding from a venture capital firm. Nobody mentioned the funding, including Ello. When Andy wrote about it, Ello got pretty darn peeved about the whole thing. Later, they sold Ello to a company that, let's see, they were, by the way, they were
brands.
Yeah, they were a public, practically. No, actually, it's very close. They were a public benefit corporation. They raised another $5.5 million with Techstars and Foundry Group, which took a board seat. If they're getting this kind of venture capital, there's going to be intense pressure for them to scale. To scale, right? So eventually, they did sell. Let me see. I'm reading through Andy's very detailed, probably unnecessarily detailed article about this. They raised funds, raised a lot of money, continued to do it. They called themselves the Creators Network. They got a lot of artists, designers, musicians putting their portfolios there, putting their journals there. 5 months later, in March 2018, they were sold to a company called Talent House, a Los Angeles-based company whose primary business was running design contests for brands in which independent artists competed against each other for a cash prize. And, of course, the brand got the design, right? They didn't tell anybody that they were sold to Talent House. They never notified anybody. But all of a sudden, they started promoting design contests from our friends at Talent House. Anyway, the long and tattered tale, but this year, Ello just took the servers down. They didn't warn people. They didn't do anything. If you go to ello.co right now, you'll get an error, a Heroku error, and which upsets a lot of people. People said years of writing down the drain. I uploaded my artwork there. I love the site because it focused on art. It was really messed up. There was no warning to allow us to download our content.
God.
Again,
it's so funny. Their promotion of Talent House was posts like, check out a dope opportunity from our friends at Talent House. Design city-inspired bottle bags for a limited edition of Absolute Vodka. Learn more. Link.
Yeah, it's too bad it's gone.
No, I don't. I'm not sad that it's gone, but it just shows you, even with the best of intentions, that you're not the product. You're the somebody's got to pay for the server.
Yep.
Hey, good news. The FTC has finally spanked TurboTax.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Justice.
You may have seen the ads. They've been running ads as recently as last week saying, a third of everybody can use our free tax service. FTC says, you can't push software as free if it ain't really free. Sorry, Intuit. The Consumer Protection Watchdog's investigation into how Intuit promoted its tax prep software as being a free product, part of a years-long deceptive advertising campaign, including ads shown during the Super Bowl. But millions of Americans could not, and I know because I tried, use TurboTax to file their taxes for free over the years. I would go through the whole I did it for my mom. We have, a tax accountant for the company and me. But for my mom, I was doing her taxes. And it would always say free. And then you'd get to the end of it and said, did you want to file these? That'll be $60. And you wanted state? Oh, that's another $30.
That'll be extra.
Yeah, every time. How do you do your taxes, Paris?
I have
You have a
accountant
person.
that I use.
Yeah.
Ever since I think my last round of layoffs, because it was during the pandemic, and then I had unemployment for a while. I knew my taxes were going to be complicated that year. I got a accountant, and I realized, he's pretty cheap. It's like $100-$200 each time, and because my taxes are simple,
but it's worth it, isn't it?
It's better. It's worth it. I just send him one email, and then I do not think about my taxes.
Right. How about
I used
you,
to
Jeff?
do my friends' taxes when I worked at the Examiner.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand that people were getting ripped off doing stupid, and A, I did friends' taxes, and B, I then developed a spreadsheet in the very earliest days to do the forms. And so I would do multiple friends' taxes.
Oh my God. That is
do you
very
do your
old.
own taxes to this day?
I did. No. Same way I don't pay bills to this day because my wife won't let me.
Does your wife do the taxes?
No. We have an accountant.
See,
I did them for a
there's
while.
something
but I screwed
wrong.
up one year.
There's really something wrong when you have to hire an accountant to file your taxes. I think we're one of the very few countries in the world where you have to do that.
Yeah, everywhere else, they just tell you how much you need to pay.
Yeah. In most countries, they send you a postcard saying, we think you owe this much. Okay? And you say,
And you're like, all right.
I mean, maybe we don't want that, but I think that we've made our tax code
I think
so
we do. I
complicated.
think we
As
do
an option.
want that, unless you're incredibly wealthy and you maximize your wealth by taking advantage of loopholes in the tax code, in which case you wouldn't want that.
How is it for our friends in Canada, chocolate milk mini sip? I know he's Canadian. How is it up there? Does the government tell you what you owe and you just pay it, or do you have to do the same kind of rigmarole we do in the U.S.? By the way, for a long time, companies like TurboTax would go to Congress and say, don't let the IRS do this for free. The main reason you can't do this with the IRS for free is because Congress didn't do anything about it, and TurboTax would hide the free stuff or lie to you outright. But there is, if you make less than $79,000, a free file at IRS Free File, and it'll guide you through it. You can also get all the forms and do it yourself. And the IRS is currently piloting in some states a entirely free system that I think eventually they'll put online. But really, the real issue was companies like Intuit were lobbying like crazy to keep this, nice fat thing they had.
The states are wildly complicated. We finally sold it with my cousins because there was multiple cousins. We inherited a piece of property, farmland in Colorado. It wasn't being farmed. It was getting, federal payoffs. It was like $30 a year. The tax cost, because you had to put all of your entire income in to then say, oh no, only a little bit of it's from Colorado. And then it was torture.
Yeah.
Torture.
Yeah. In Brazil, you do it on your phone, says Sirio Barber in our club.
God, what a concept.
Well, but this is, you can't assume that somebody can either afford an account or has a personal computer and can do it themselves. It feels like, in Canada, this is our Canadian friend. The government knows based on forms sent by the companies, which is the same here. If you're
the government knows
Yeah,
how
they know.
much
They
taxes
give you bills
we
when you
owe.
pay not enough. They know. They need
Right.
to pay more later.
They're
Right.
very aware.
Anyway, I don't want to make this be the show about how everything sucks. What's good news around here? An online pastor indicted in a $1.3 million cryptocurrency scam.
He released a video, and I've got a super cut of it linked in the show notes.
Molly White.
Explaining that the reason why he did this cryptocurrency scheme is the Lord told him to sell cryptocurrency with no clear exit and then spend some of the proceeds on a home remodel. That was the Lord.
Securities and Exchange Commission for basically selling millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency that is deemed worthless by the state. Now, the reason that they're saying that it's worthless is because there is no exit
have no
for
faith.
people who have bought. We launched an exchange. The exchange technology failed. Things went downhill. And from that point forward.
But he has a
been
very nice
waiting
home with a beautiful
literally
view
for a
of the
miracle.
lake, I must say.
He's got a sure mic.
The charges are that Caitlin and I pocketed $1.3 million. And I just want to come out and say that those charges are true. So there's
Well, there you go. And that's all we really need to see, I think.
Listen, you got to hand it to them. They're true.
Hey, I'm a preacher. I can't lie. TikTok tunnel girl, not alone.
She got Jeff brought this to my attention this week. The TikTok tunnel girl got the New York Times treatment recently in this week's edition of This Week in Tunnels. They go through a bunch of different famous tunnelers.
I love this term, hobby tunneling.
I mean, what else are you going to be doing in your spare time? Dig a tunnel?
I got a little free time. Let me see what's under the house.
There was an international media frenzy in 2015 when a tunnel over 33 feet long was found in the north of Toronto with tools, empty bottles, and food containers inside.
What is
the
it
digger
about
eventually
tunneling?
confessed.
Yeah.
He was a 22-year-old construction worker. They said, it was just something I always wanted to do, he said. So,
said Elon Musk.
Here's a
boys just want to dig tunnels.
Maybe it is.
You guys
Maybe
ever
this
dig
is
a
an
large
urge.
tunnel?
I think this is a human thing. Like, I think people just like digging tunnels.
Benito,
Okay,
have you ever dug a tunnel?
I've never dug a tunnel, but
where's your tunnel?
I'm sure you've all gone to the beach and tried to dig the biggest hole you can, right?
You want to dig down?
Exactly.
I've
So,
dug deep holes.
It's an extension of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I guess a hole eventually turns into a tunnel.
What dogs do.
True.
A 33-foot-long tunnel found underneath Toronto in 2015. Nicely built,
Yeah.
too, by the way.
I mean, if it were in Berlin at the wall, I absolutely get it.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by those stories, by the way.
An East London man, the British press called the Moleman of Hackney, spent 40 years digging a tunnel network under his house before the local government obtained a court order in 2006 to stop the digging.
He looks like the
There he
mole man
is.
of Hackney.
He looks really happy. He looks,
So this is some sort of
Look what I
weird,
made.
built into our subconscious need that occasionally just emerges.
We're descended from ants.
He says, quote, tunneling is something that should be talked about without panicking. He's got a point.
In the 1800s, the fifth Duke of Portland, William John Cavendish Scott Bentinick, built 2.75 miles of tunnels and an underground ballroom on his property, Welbeck Abbey, near Sheffield.
Okay, in a similar but somewhat different note, do you guys know about the Chicago rat hole?
No.
Oh, I know about this, yeah.
You know about this?
Okay.
Benito knows. He knows everything.
Listen, Benito understands.
I
I've put
know.
a link
This
to
is
the
art.
first story.
It's art.
It is art. It's a rat-shaped hole in Chicago that became a local landmark recently. Imagine the shape of a rat splattered on the ground. That was
Ew.
the shape of the hole. And people kept it was like a pilgrimage site. People would come there, pay their respects to the rat. It had a Google Maps location. It was all the rage until last week.
Oh, no.
Someone
Oh, no.
filled the rat hole.
Oh, no.
But then residents took action. It was plugged with plaster or concrete, and then residents braved the bitter cold to dig the rat hole out. This New York Times article begins with, "Where have you gone, Chicago rat hole?"
Oh, it's
Our
not that
nation
big,
turns
though.
Its
It's just-
lonely eyes to
No.
you.
It's just a little hole.
rat-sized. It is the size of a rat.
People would put pennies in it, little plastic rats.
Little rat. There you go.
It is
Well, we should
interesting.
move from this
Yeah.
to rat selfies at line 100.
Listen, that's what I was thinking. It's the perfect transition.
It's a
Yes.
rat hole. We used to have a song for that, actually. Why is it we like mice, but we don't like rats?
Well, the ones you're going to see at line 100 are very cute.
Our rodent
Yeah, I
selfies.
think we should be into this.
A photographer trained two rats to take photographs of themselves. They liked it so much they didn't want to stop. They said,
So this is moral panic.
you
They're trying to
humans-
insist.
Hey,
you
drink.
humans, you drink, you dig the holes. We're going to take selfies. We're going to trade jobs."
Look how cute the rats are.
They are
They
very
are pretty cute.
actually.
They are.
Look.
Until you see their
they're
weird
having such a
naked
fun
tails.
time.
Oh.
I don't know. I think they're fun.
Your cat's not going to like that as a neighbor. No,
Did
don't-
you used to have a rat
She'd
when you were a
probably.
kid? Look at this. They actually have
Me?
to go up.
No.
Yeah, you feel. I
It's
feel
a
like
Skinner
you're
box.
It's a Skinner box.
Oh, you think I'm the sort of person that would have a rat
Yeah.
as a child?
Yeah.
Florida,
I mean,
anything could happen.
Listen, I do
could
think
see
that's
you
probably
going to
terrible.
school with a rat on your shoulder on a little gold chain.
Oh, like a little parakeet or
It's a very
parrot?
good, it's a goth pet to have.
It's a goth.
Listen, I think
Yeah,
it'd be pretty good.
I feel
I
like
didn't have a rat. As
you're
a pet,
kind of
but I
like
would have loved to have a rat.
our Wednesday is what you are. Kind of.
Wow, thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, I think of
That's
you
what
that
I'm
way.
trying to be. I've got to learn how to braid my hair.
And dance, do that dance. A Skinner box, but it's not. But they don't feed them. They just.
So they're trying to, they gave him some sugar, and then he's trying to,
Oh.
basically this is trying to insist that we're all rats making our selfies. It's a bit of
That's
moral panic.
BS. This is just.
Yeah, exactly.
And to put this under the
But
science
the rats ended up, essentially they sent up this box whenever the rat would press the button to take the photo, it would get sugar water.
Oh.
And
Well, of course the
or
rat's
was
going to
it
push the
treats or
button.
something?
The rat
But
doesn't know
after a
anything
certain-
about the
after
picture.
a certain point, they stopped going for the treat and just kept pressing the button and smiling for the camera. And I think that's beautiful. Good for the rats. They look great.
Okay, but the guy who did it said, honestly, I don't think they understood it.
No, there's no way they understood.
Then why did he go to all the trouble?
He's a photographer in
Because he
Paris.
wanted a New York Times piece.
Yeah, it worked.
He began to ponder the point of picture taking in the modern world. That's just an art project. It shouldn't be under science. It should be under art.
Yes, I agree. Have you seen Disney's elegant solution to VR's movement problems?
Yes, and you know what?
Oh,
this is
I
the first
did.
thing I thought,
is
maybe
pretty cool.
this isn't a bad idea. So one of the issues with VR, and Apple's facing this with the Vision Pro, in fact, most notably when they brought in a bunch of famous celebrities and influencers to try on the Vision Pro in the last few weeks, they had them sitting down. It was like, well, you really don't want to move around because you might walk into a wall or trip over a coffee table or something. So this has always been the issue of a real virtual reality is you can't, and I've had the various forms of the Oculus, and they have different ways of walking around. In many games, you point at the ground like a laser pointer, and then you click a button and you go to that point. But they don't have a good way of moving around. Well, Disney may have solved this. This is a floor, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't look like it's moving. It is like a textured
like
floor that I guess is moving when you walk, but you stay in the same spot.
It's like you're walking on ball bearings that move around as you need to move in a different direction.
And
you never
additionally,
walk
of
off
course, the computer or the game is attached to this floor, so it knows you're moving. So you can move without.
You have to go to the end of this video to see him. It's a very long video. If you go to
So
the
it's
end.
basically a bunch of trackballs on the ground, right?
Well, it doesn't look like it is, actually. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of thing. Anyway, this is an Imagineering. You really look. One of the biggest problems with VR is you look like a dork. I'm sorry.
yeah, they're making very tiny steps.
Yeah.
But here's the question. Is this the new treadmill?
No. Oh, look, there's a box just moving around.
Oh, that's pretty fun.
There's a little Apple box
That's
moving
cool. So
around.
it can feed back to the thing.
Yeah. You got to wonder, like, what the hell is going on here?
It feels dangerous.
He's just sitting on a chair that's been being whipped around.
It's a little dangerous.
Honestly, I feel like they
Yeah.
cut out all the parts where they fell and cut their head. But okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we can almost do this. Anyway, it's an experiment. They also don't say how much it would cost or whether they're even ever going to make one. But it's a good idea. You're going to
It's
need
cool.
something like
It's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Make your whole living room that way. And then if somebody you,
put
don't
the rats
like,
in the
Ready
cage,
Player
you just
One.
roll
roll
put
them
that
out
on the
the door.
floor,
yeah.
Yeah.
and the rats just keep walking all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Masnick. Should we plug Mike Masnick? He has
Let's
a
plug
huge
him.
new report out
Yes.
called "The Sky Is Rising" about the state of the entertainment industry. With Mike's just amazing. This is from the Copia Institute.
I don't know how he always finds the time to do this
Oh,
stuff.
he's just phenomenal. He's just
amazing.
phenomenal. So what he found was that more creative content is being produced than ever before. More people are able to create content than ever before. More people are able to make money doing so.
Really?
More people have access to a wider diversity of creative content. So he goes through, he did this 10 years ago or some years ago. And then he goes through and changed the categories because it used to be, books. Well, now there's all kinds of things that are about reading. So he made it listening, watching, reading, playing, and went through the numbers in each industry. It says they're all doing well. and that the internet, and by the way, around news, he does say, and I think we forget this all the time because of the whining that happens, according to census data, internet publishing jobs more than replaced the jobs lost in newspapers and periodicals. So Mike
is the opposite of what we've just been saying.
You want some good news? Yeah. So Mike has this long report. At the end, he says, these technologies are not at odds with creativity. They are great enablers of creativity and creative industries.
I would agree with that.
Much more evidence.
I would agree with that.
Simple statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so he goes through bit by bit.
We always said that's the cool thing about YouTube. Anybody can make a video and post it in a way that everybody in the world could see. Anybody can make a podcast pretty cheap these days.
But on YouTube, algorithm has something to say about that.
Well, this is the problem. There are these gatekeepers, which Mike doesn't really consider. Ultimately, gatekeepers.
Have you guys ever had Mike on the show?
Oh, many times. You want him out?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get him on. We haven't had him on in a while.
Let's get Mike.
Mike's brilliant. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best.
We love Mike.
Best.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read this. Is this the Ideas in Abundance? Is that what this is? Is that what it's called?
Well, no. Go to the link that I gave you because I don't think he has a homepage yet.
I'm at the Copia
Institute.
Institute. I'm at the Copia Institute here.
He wrote a post with it.
Oh, okay.
It's a PDF. It's a long PDF.
Yeah.
By the way,
I'll have to read
Mike,
it.
just one little thing. So I print it out so I can underline things.
Yep.
And the problem is when people use fonts that look good online and you don't do more than 600 DPI,
It looks
the fonts
crappy.
are just all, and there should be printable versions, especially if you make a PDF. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you put the link, Jeff? What line number? I'm trying to find it.
If you search the word Mike in there,
it's 98.
Or no, it's Masnick. Sorry. Yeah, 98.
Line 98.
Copia.is is the website, and it is a PDF. It's got pretty pictures. The sky is rising.
It does. It's well done.
Well, the number of people listening is going up. Global recorded music revenue going up. Yeah, but that's the big 5 record companies.
Yeah.
No, it's also Spotify and the number. If you Will Page, the former chief economist at Spotify.
Spotify pays
Spotify
80% of its income to the big 5 record labels. Global theatrical home video revenue, global digital publishing market. Wait a minute, all of this is not where games released on Steam. Yeah,
this
yes,
is
of course.
mainly.
This is the graphic, I think.
Yeah.
I think there'll be more
There'll be
information.
more
in the
inside.
written word.
Okay.
Yes, a lot more. It's a big long PDF. Yes, of course there will be.
It does seem like it's contrary to what we were just saying, though, doesn't it?
Well, that's because we forget about all these new.
Well, I mean, I think if we're talking in like aggregate, if you're looking from a million miles away, yes, there is more money in media than ever before.
We're all consuming
there are more
content.
people consuming things before.
Yeah.
It's partially because we are able to track people's consumption of things in a way that we are not able
That's
to
a good
before.
point. That's a good point,
There's
too.
also an extra billion people here since last 10 years ago.
Right. There's more people. The internet
But I mean, that
is an
doesn't
incredible
mean
distribution
that
medium, right?
the like largest or even some of the smallest media organizations that we know and love are doing well.
Right. Although employment is up in the newspapers, in periodicals, in books.
I mean, but I'm curious how is, like, this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yes.
I'm curious what that is specifically tracking.
The
Are we talking about
categorization,
full-time
yeah.
employment? Are we talking about people who say they're employed in any way in news or media? Because, you know, that could be a lot of freelancers. It could be a lot of people who maybe publish one thing a year.
Look at podcast listenership as a percent of U.S. adults. It's now almost more than 60% of U.S. adults listen to a podcast, at least ever.
I think ever is not
Ever is
that
once.
impressive. I mean,
more than 40% in the past month, more than 30% in the past week. Yeah, but that's about right. But the problem for us is that doesn't mean they listen to us. There's a lot more podcasts to listen to. Number of scripted TV series in the U.S. is way up, 600 as of last year.
That's going to come down.
Yeah. Yeah, we've passed the era of peak TV, have we not?
Oh yeah. I think it gets reinvented again, I think, again, it's trying to aspire to something that existed. And, I find most TV now depressing. Netflix just depresses the hell out of me.
Yeah, I watched a show called The Curse. Have you seen this on Amazon Prime? It's Nathan Fielder's
it's supposed to be very cringe humor,
it's
right?
extremely cringe.
I can't deal with that. I get
so
too
depressed.
stressed out when I watch cringy stuff.
I binged it, and
I've got
was
a really
depressed.
good TV recommendation. It's my pick of the week.
Oh, good. Save it. In fact, let's take a little break. This would be a good time to do that. You're watching This Week in Google. Paris Martineau of The Information. Do you have the strings, the wires, the pictures on the wall? Are you working on the big next thing?
I mean, I've got my two previous murder boards. One of them is on the floor. One of them I haven't taken down yet. But I do have a new binder I'm starting of the files for the next thing. So
that's great.
I also, much like Jeff, like to print things out.
A binder full of tips.
A binder,
a
binder full of women and tips.
I've got whiteboards. I have a whole pile of whiteboards. And
I want to get a whiteboard. I want to get a whiteboard. I don't know where I would put it.
Whiteboards are great.
I feel like that would be really useful.
You can get one that like you can put on a wall and like you can cut to a size you want it.
Oh, I love.
So it's kind of movable.
Wallpaper whiteboard.
Or you can even get whiteboard paint, can't you?
Yes, you can.
I mean, yeah, but that's not as good.
It's not as good?
The wallpaper is the greatest.
So it's like vinyl and you stick it to the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine what Paris could do with that? If we're magnetic too, and she could put strings and things. Yeah. Oof.
I literally have zero wall space in my office at home. It's like all got stuff on it.
Problematic. Got to clear some space for you to write more things.
I need some space. I was thinking I'd just maybe I could have a pull down whiteboard. No, that doesn't work.
Be good.
Also here, Jeff Jarvis, as you know, deorbiting as the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation. But you have some plans, do you not?
I do indeed. I cleared up my office. It's empty now.
Oh,
I saw that. It was so sad.
He used to do, this is before your time, but he used to do the show from his office sometimes. Yep. And CUNY was so cheap that they had a timer on the light. And he would be sitting there doing the show, and the lights would go off. And
I'm alive.
I'm here. I promise.
Remember that? That was the good old days.
Oh yeah.
Was the lighting just as yellow?
Oh, it was
no, because
it was awful.
They shot a TV show on our floor once. It was part of a crime show. It never aired. But when they put the lights in, for TV. They replaced our fluorescents.
Oh.
So I said to the nice guy, I said, "Oh, can you leave them?" And he did.
Oh, nice.
And so it was very nice. It was there for the
wow.
Was it Only Murders in the University? Was that the show?
Probably, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Did I tell you that I have my linotype keyboard here at home?
Oh, that's right. You used to have a bunch of nice. You got to bring some of those souvenirs.
No, I don't know what to do with it. I can't get anybody to take it. It's like 150 pounds, literally.
There's a former world champion chess player who has a bad habit of stealing pawns. And he's been caught many times on camera at tournaments just taking a pawn from the chess set and putting it in his pocket and walking off. And then when people accused him of that, he said, "It's not illegal. Mind your own business." Okay. Jeff's website, Gutenberg parenthesis. I'm not asserting that you might have stolen any linotypes or typewriters.
I paid for it, but I just put it in the Discord. There it is.
Oh,
it's
nice.
my beloved.
And you're trying to sell it?
No, I'm trying to give it away. I was going to give it to, there was a professor at the University of Illinois who wanted it because he teaches Etouan Shrewdloo and different production techniques and stuff. And so I looked into, it's now setting. Now there it is.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it cool? And it's solid. So to ship that would have cost $1,100.
Does it work?
Well, no, because it has to be associated with a huge
Looks like you could use a good power washing.
Well, you don't want to ruin the...
That's the cool... This is why you're not getting the keyboard, Leo.
I don't want it. It looks filthy.
Leo, can you bring up a picture of a linotype so you can show it? So
that's just the keyboard that would then attach to the giant...
Yeah. I looked and it's large.
It's huge. It's wonderful. I love it.
You have the whole thing? That's just the keyboard?
No.
Oh.
Just the keyboard. You could buy whole linotypes, but my wife would really kill me.
You got so much space in this office.
The Mark Twain of our. Oh my God, these things are huge. Holy magoli! Here from Wikipedia.
Where did you get it from?
Is a picture of an actual.
Here's a funny thing, Paris. There was some guy on eBay, and he didn't know what it was, so he called it steampunk decor.
How did you find that on eBay?
I don't know. Somehow eBay knew.
See, eBay knew that was you.
This is my next book. This is what I'm working on.
Wow.
Is to write a history of that. Because that was the machine that made mass media possible.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a wonderful story.
When was it first used?
1890.
This isn't the thing Mark Twain invested in.
He invested in a competitor, and it bankrupted him.
Yeah.
Literally bankrupted him.
But he thought it was going to be intelligent. He thought it was AI, right?
Yeah, it was. Every time a machine does something we think is impossible, we think it thinks. That's part of my lead of this. And so the page now haunts poor Mark Twain in the basement of his home and museum. In Hartford.
Lost his fortune.
It's huge. It's amazing. So the linotype, just a moment here. This is my new Gutenberg.
Yeah.
The linotype is fascinating because everybody tried to set type with one letter character since Gutenberg, right? And they tried to replace that task because we always see the future of the analog of the past. Ottmar Mergenthaler realized that he wasn't going to do that. What he did was he replaced
Frank. By the way,
jobs.
that's not Ottmar. That's Frank.
That's Frank.
But Frank, before Frank, there was a picture of Ottmar. Here's Frank. He actually apparently knows how to operate. This is a YouTube. He apparently knows how to operate one of these suckers. And he's at NMI, National Museum of Industrial History. You know what I'm saying. If
you're into this, Linotype the Film is a wonderful documentary about all of this.
So there was at the turn of the last century that these became widely used.
So you replaced that, which is one letter at a time. And now instead it's molds. And the molds line, you hit the letter B and down comes a mold. Then you hit the letter A and down comes the mold. And so on, and they come into that spot there. And then the whole line moves over and gets shot full of lead.
Wow.
And the line comes out.
Molten lead, I might add.
But it's quick. Well, this is the same formula that we think Gutenberg used.
Wow.
Lead, antimony, and tin. And then the matrices, the molds, go back up to the top where teeth on them show them the right slot to go down. So it replaced having to make the font. It replaced setting it by hand. It replaced having to put it back.
So this is what they call hot lead typesetting.
This is hot type. Yep.
Hot type. And it made it more that much quicker to produce a newspaper, and somebody who could operate this machine could produce a newspaper in enough time that you'd have one every night.
Well, right. Well, the problem was before you had to have a whole room filled with typesetters, people,
right,
to do it, and you couldn't have enough, so you could never get late news. At the end of the life of the typesetters online, it's a wonderful part of the story, there were typesetters who were called the Swifts, who turned hand typesetting into a spectator sport. People would come out and watch people set type. And they were celebrities.
So here's the trailer.
Original Swiftie.
Here's the trailer from the movie Linotype that you can watch on YouTube, I guess, right? Where is the movie?
Linotype, the film?
Yeah, it's at linotypefilm.com.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, Doug made that. He's great. And he's good friends with Glenn Fleischman.
I bet he is.
Wow.
I bet he is. So when did the linotype stop getting used? So it started in the 1890s.
Good question. Doug Wilson, by the way, I should say Doug's full name, made the movie. He's a wonderful guy. Doug and Glenn and Martineau and I all went to the printing museum together and did a talk. It stopped being used first when there was cold type, which is to say photographic, that you'd shine through a plastic thing onto photographic film and then cut that up. And then came PostScript, which replaced it all.
Here's the individual typesetters doing it in a room, but this is so much of an improvement. That's fascinating.
It's such a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're ever in Boston, I'm serious. Go to that was the guy who started the museum right there at the end. Go to the Museum of Printing in Haverhill, Mass, and it's just wonderful to watch.
So here's here's an image from the New York Times back in the day of all of the linotype operators Good Lord, sitting in a room. So this is back in the day, like the front page, where a reporter would call in the story. Somebody would type it out, and then they would call for a copy boy who would then run it downstairs to the linotype.
No. So what would happen is, I did that. I was a rewrite man. Sorry for the sexist language. And we would write on a half sheet of paper, and I would write the lead, and then I would pull it out of the typewriter and I'd scream, "Copy!" And somebody 1 year younger than me would come around to get it. And there'd be multiple carbon copies, carbon paper, something we'll explain later, Paris. And then
I know about
then it would go to the copy, it would go to each editor, and then they would start to get a couple paragraphs together, and then they would put it in a pneumatic tube and send it downstairs. And if you were on deadline, they would cut it up so that multiple typesetters and multiple linotypes could set parts of it so it could make it by deadline to go on the page. And while I was still writing the 10th paragraph, they were setting the first paragraph downstairs.
Wow.
And I'm going to guess.
And so you had to write. You had to remember. You couldn't edit.
You can't edit. It's
right?
done.
That paragraph's gone. It's being set and typed.
Could not imagine. When did you first start using computers in work?
I'm going to age myself very badly.
This is where we bring up John Slanina's famous picture of rolling all the. Was it you, John, that you have the pictures rolling all the machines out of the newsroom?
Yeah.
So
1973, Paris.
73.
When the first system went into the Chicago Tribune, and I'd survived from a paper called Chicago Today that had no tomorrow, and I was the kid. I was 20 years old, and still in college. And I was playing with these computers next to our desks. Everybody else treated them like the apes in 2001. I don't know what this is, right? I'm playing with it. So I trained the entire newsroom on how to use them when they came in. This is a cursor. No, you have to put the cursor where you want to do something. And no, don't hit return at the end of the line. Trust me, just keep typing. There's no bell, no. Yeah, that's how I got.
I am going to guess, though, that a reporter who worked in that earlier environment, the linotype environment, had a sense of urgency and importance.
Oh, yes.
Right? And you felt like what you were doing was, there's such a big
part of a manufacturing process.
Big thing. And it's like, I'm doing something important here, and it's urgent. And I think you kind of lose that when you're just typing on a computer.
And really you're typing is
when you're doing a podcast
about rats selfies. Yeah.
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 But there must have been, and I think of the front page where there was this sense of, this is a big deal what we're doing here.
We defined ourselves by our process.
Yeah.
Right. There were people whose full-time job was to write captions. That was it. Right.
Anyway, Jeff Jarvis, Paris Martineau.
So that is, by the way.
That was our signing off.
No.
That's my next book.
Yeah. I look forward to it. Do you have a title for it?
Hot Type.
Hot Type. Oh.
Wow.
I gave you the title just then.
Hot Type.
Hot Type. We will be back with our picks of the week in just a bit. John's going to, wait a minute, before we do though, John's got his, so this was where, this was at KALX, which is a radio station in LA. He's rolling out the typewriters. Because they're going to the, that's John, by the way, Jammer B, in all his glory, rolling out
little
the
tiny computers.
And they're bringing in probably Basis or something like that. The News Star. That's what. Yeah, we used. There was Basis and there was News Star. There are two versions. Were the two different things.
Wow.
Look at this.
Where did the typewriters end up?
By the way, this is a staged photo because they'd already been moved out long ago.
Yeah,
you had to go get them so that the photographer could get his shot. Right. Yeah. But it looked the same back then. Oh, smiling and not smiling. So the editor would have the choice to decide whether you were happy.
Don't look happy for taking out our past.
Yeah, isn't that hysterical?
Look reverent.
I love that, John. These are great. I remember you.
These are so good.
Isn't that fun? You're working with a bunch of old people. Your grandparents. It's nice of them to let you be on the show, Paris. I think that's.
It really is. Thanks, guys. I'm glad that you guys can still hear me.
What?
I'm glad that you can still hear me, Leo. Leo, remember where you are.
Who am I?
Touch, see, taste, feel.
You know what I haven't done I should do before we break is the Google changelog. You ready? Press the button.
The Google changelog.
This is the dopiest Google changelog ever.
Yeah, it is.
Starting February 22nd, that's a month from now, you can no longer use Google Groups to post to Usenet. If you
were still doing that.
If you're still, I didn't even know Google Groups existed still.
Or Usenet.
I didn't even know Usenet was still around.
I subscribe to Usenet. I don't know why, but I actually
do?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
This is from S. Alexander Reed. For all 6 peoples who care, Google is sundowning its Usenet services. Usenet is not bad. And of course, there's a lot of historic stuff there. Also, Google is using AI to organize and customize your Chrome browser. This is new in Chrome 121. Experimental generative AI techniques available in Chrome for Mac and Windows. The first is a tab organizer, which enhances tab groups by using Chrome to suggest and create tab groups based on currently open tabs. It'll even suggest names and emojis, so it'll be easier to find. To use it, right-click a tab and select Organize Similar Tabs. You might use this. I could see you guys using this. You probably have a lot of tabs open, right? Second,
I have so many tabs, I have to close them before I do this show.
So do you use Chrome?
Yeah.
I do. I need to stop using Chrome.
Well,
it's one of my many plans.
Update your Chrome and then right-click a tab.
Chrome is stopping,
I know.
Chrome is...
I know.
We talk about this all the time.
Use Firefox.
They're stopping... Yeah, I know. I need to go to Firefox. I do like the feature they have now where you can right-click a tab and then say, close all tabs to the right.
Oh.
Because sometimes you have too many tabs to close them.
Yes, you can't reach them. They're all so teensy.
Yes, they're tiny, tiny, tiny. That's when I know
next time you
I've got to start a
right-click,
new window.
there'll be more in that drop-down. There's also a generative AI wallpaper feature on Android 14 and Pixel 8 devices. They're adding this to the Chrome browser. You can generate custom color themes based on your subject, mood, visual style, and color. Finally, Google introduced a new AI-powered tool that activates when you right-click on any text box on the internet. You'll get a pop-up that says "Help me write," and then you type a few words. Help me write, and you will be writing.
I mean, that's I guess if you want Chrome to be even more of a resource hog, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, if you just need Chrome to be taking up more of your memory, here's the solution for you.
Here you go. Google Photos is rolling out I think this might be even AI as well, an auto-grouping stacks on Android. So you can... So Photo Stacks came in November. Now you can organize similar photos that were taken together within a short time frame. Google will automatically group them so you get one image. Because, nowadays, a lot of phones, you got this burst mode, or I always take 15 pictures at the same time.
I mean, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
If someone hands you your phone to take photos, you got to take about 10 to 20.
Yeah, it's so funny when somebody takes one picture and gives you back the phone. It's like,
do you think you were that good at that one photo? You weren't.
So now you can get the stacked photos in your Google Photos activated today. And that's the Google changelog. See?
You might think that was 5 stories in the last one. It was just 2 stories.
Just felt like it.
Yeah.
Just felt like it. And actually, thank you to Scooter X. There is the regular Google changelog, and now there's the Scooter X Google changelog. Scooter X Enhanced. He is our AI, in effect. We will take a break. When we come back, we will do your picks of the week as we wrap up this edition of This Week in Google. And by the way, your pick could be a story that Leo ignored, but you really think is important. If you want, I don't. There are so many stories in there, I couldn't do them all. Let's kick off some picks here with Miss Paris Martineau.
So I've been watching. I normally don't watch that much TV, but I've recently been captivated by the Traitors, a new reality competition show on Peacock. It is phenomenal. It is hosted by Alan Cummings, and he dresses like a Bond supervillain.
He relishes this role. He
is like a spooky master of a spooky castle in this show. And basically the game is mafia or werewolf. You have, a group of, basically you've got a group of people in this castle. A couple of them are traitors, which means they basically, like mafia or werewolf rules, have the ability to every night kill off one of the other faithful contestants. And every week or on the show, the faithful contestants have to try and guess who's the traitor and vote them off. Much like in the actual werewolf. Game, like werewolf, people are really bad at it. But the thing I love about this is the contestants for this show are insane. It is all celebrities from other reality shows like The Challenge or Survivor. They even got a Bachelor on there, as well as the former Speaker of the House of UK Parliament. So it's just
the order
literally that guy. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, I'd like to watch that.
It's very funny. It's such an interesting mix of people. And I really love Alan Cumming in it. And he's got his
loved
cute
Alan
little
Cumming.
outfits.
He's really wonderful.
And his accent is so surprising when he's himself.
Yeah. He's got a strong
really is.
Scottish accent.
Yeah.
And he's just leaning into the drama the entire time. It's really a fun watch.
Peacock, which, by the way,
you actually subscribe to Peacock?
I do.
You have Comcast.
I subscribe.
I don't think I actually subscribe to Peacock. I watch it. If you're Peacock, you're not listening to this. I watch it.
You look through the window of your neighbor's
The Bachelor podcast that I told you guys before, that breaks down as a sport on their Patreon. One of the guys will do kind of a Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing where he does commentary of other reality shows, so I watch it through that.
Well, that sounds like more fun than actually watching the show.
It's really fun because like every time
that.
we'll pause and talk about it. I really recommend it. Game of Roses.
It's called Game of Roses. Okay.
Yeah.
And the Peacock is so cheap, you should probably just subscribe. But then
I'm sure I should. But that's the thing. I like the commentary. I don't need to subscribe to another
So really,
platform,
let's get your pick right. It isn't Traitors, it's Game of Roses.
I mean, it is Game of Roses. Clues Corner does the Traitors specifically.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
And in order to see that, you have to be a Patreon subscriber, right? Because that's behind there.
You do.
Yeah.
It's you could wait till the Traitors is over, pay $10 once, then watch all of them and unsubscribe. That's how I do some Patreons sometimes, and I say it's honestly well worth it. This is a guy who the hosts of this show, they both previously, that is how I watch the Traitors right here. A screen within a screen with a tiny screen next to it. But this guy, the hosts both are like former kind of TV producers and writers.
So
and
they know what's going on here.
And they've coached a number of players through The Bachelor and Love is Blind and other games. So it's kind of about the producerial aspects of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know what? It's only $10 to do this Patreon, and you get everything, right, if you join?
Yeah. I mean, I would just, I think a good way to try out Patreons is you pay $10, watch a bunch of episodes, and then decide whether you want to stay for another month.
I may actually.
I think right now, it's a good way to watch it, honestly. His commentary is very funny.
I tried to watch Traitors, and it's by itself, it wasn't quite enough, but I think with the commentary, it's good. Because really, that's the only way to watch any reality show is with friends who will mock it mercilessly as you're watching it.
Yeah, and part of his take on it that I find really interesting is he thinks that this is the start of kind of a third wave of reality TV, specifically that this new wave is where other reality shows exist to create celebrities to be feeders into new reality shows. Like there are a lot of shows like this, like Traitors, that exist only to take people from other reality competitions.
The reality
Perfect Match on Netflix.
So
it really is. It's eating itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why not? Because reality shows create crap celebrities. I mean, like D-list celebrities out of the people on the shows. Yeah. But
there's a gem every once in a while. Emma Stone came from there.
Emma Stone?
And so that's
wait a minute. Whoa.
Really?
Wait, really?
Wait, whoa.
I think so, yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't believe that.
From a reality
Bill
show?
froze.
I'd be.
She was long before
The Curse
Emma Stone wooed us
is
in
a show about a
Superbad,
reality
Easy A,
show.
and The Amazing Spider-Man. She was competing on reality TV.
Wow.
Wow. Never doubt. We got to remember this. Never doubt Benito.
Never doubt Benito.
He knows this stuff.
Jeez.
Wow.
Do you have any clips of it, of her there in the reality show?
Wait a minute. Let me find the show she was on. She says, as a freshman, she dropped out of Xavier College Preparatory, an all-girl Catholic high school, to become an actress, prepared a PowerPoint presentation for her parents entitled Project Hollywood to convince them to let her move to California to pursue an acting career. She moved with her mother to an apartment in Los Angeles. I went up for every single show on the Disney Channel, auditioned to play the daughter on every single sitcom. I ended up getting none. So she went to high school and worked at a dog treat bakery. She made her television debut as Laurie Partridge in the VH1 talent competition reality show In Search of the New Partridge Family, which was an unsold pilot, never got made.
Oh.
Then she was on Lucky Louie C.K.'s show. She auditioned as so she was briefly.
Yeah.
She
I think that still counts.
Yeah. Well, she's about to get her first Oscar, I think, for this new movie, Poor Things.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I'm looking forward to it. All right, so I'm going to Patreon. Oh, gosh, I closed the tab. What's the name of it again?
Game of Roses.
On a Patreon, Game of Roses. Okay, so I can watch the Traitors the way it was meant to be watched.
With a man smoking a little weed and giving commentary.
Oh, no,
at the
really?
same time.
Is he high while he's doing it?
There's one episode where he's a little high, but that's okay.
It really is the only way. We watch, our Shameful Watch is a horrible, horrible show on Bravo called Below Deck. It's about yachting. And it's awful.
I think some people from Below Deck might be on the Traitors. Is that right?
Kate is on it. She was one of the chief stews on Below Deck. She's
comes
on
back,
Traitors, yeah. Apparently she's a horrible person.
I mean, that's the thing that is interesting about this is everybody on the show was like the top person from their reality show. So they're all awful and are way too full of themselves.
They're
and they're
full of
all
themselves.
stuck in a castle together and not able to trust one another.
Oh, I
it's
love it.
delightful.
There you go. And I'm going to sign up right now for my Patreon. Mr. Jeff Jarvis, what's your number?
I don't know. I was going to mention, by the way, have you ever watched Graham Norton on TikTok?
I see him clips from his shows a lot.
Clips all over. He's the greatest.
He's a talk show host in Great Britain who gets the best guests, and then they all sit on a couch next to each other and tell stories. And it's wild. Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff.
He's brilliant. It's just the best.
Yeah, I don't know why he's never been shown here. To be
he's
honest.
on AMC Plus. Like, who's going to do AMC? This streaming crap. Yeah,
that's the funniest thing in The Curse. They're trying to put together an HGTV reality show, and Emma Stone's on it, by the way, and they do the whole thing, 10 episodes, 10 hours of this, and at the end of it, it's not on HGTV TV, it's on HGTV Go. They're so disappointed that it's just some streaming thing that nobody's ever going to watch. Anyway. What is your so you could do that if you want, but if you want something else.
No. I was going to complain about Ted having on Ackman and Barry Weiss and other people, but I don't.
Oh, that's interesting. He's Pershing Square Capital. Barry Weiss is kind of what's happened to journalism, sad to say.
And Andrew Yang.
Well, he was a presidential candidate.
Yeah,
all the people
I don't know
hate.
if we should be considering that Ted is some bastion of ideas.
No.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't it, though? Those TED Talks are great.
I mean, I guess that's their whole thing is quote-unquote ideas, but it's the ideas economy. It's like for people who are quote-unquote big thinkers, and by which they mean you can give really good like sound bites.
You've seen the fake TED Talk, right? Have you seen that?
Oh, yes. This is brilliant. Oh, this is brilliant.
Walk on stage, walk on stage, walk on stage, walk on stage. I am a thought leader. You know that I'm a thought leader because I'm wearing a blazer, I have glasses, and I've just done this with my hands.
He's making a steeple.
I'll now walk over to my laptop. By doing so, I'm demonstrating to you that as a thought leader, I understand technology and that there will be slides. Because everybody knows that a presentation seems more legitimate than it actually is if there are slides. I'm now going to come back to the center of the stage and give you some unremarkable context about how I became a thought leader. If it's okay with you, I'd like to pace while telling you this story. In 2000,
it goes on and on. It's very funny. Highly recommend it. It is from comedy. It says, well, there you go.
It's from comedy.
I just put up in the Discord my TEDx talk.
Oh, TEDx. I've done a TEDx talk.
The opening will piss off John, but go ahead.
Yeah, let's see. Oh,
wow, you are dressed in the exact way that he was.
I don't know.
I am.
I don't
a thought leader.
Is bullshit.
Wait a minute. I have the other thought leader still talking.
That's still the joke.
I was just like, wow, you sound pretty similar.
Too many thought leaders.
Tell the difference. Real Jeff or you got to get the very beginning.
Okay, the very beginning is this is the part that's going to annoy John. All right, here we go. TEDx NYED.
This is bullshit.
That's all you need to show.
Quote, as Jay did, our friend Dan Gilmore, you know more than I do.
I didn't get invited back.
You are good at not getting invited back, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to Davos anymore.
Was it hard to not curse in the halls of the Senate?
Yes, actually. Yes, it was. I wanted to say, you're all full of shirt. I got one little thing.
Why didn't you start
your
your Senate opening remarks with that line? That would have been good.
Well, yeah, I'm very proud
attention.
When I testified at the FCC some years ago, I did get in Baba Booey.
Oh, that's huge.
Isn't it?
That is.
And what was their reaction? Did they understand what they were seeing?
Yeah, they laughed. Yeah, they laughed. So the Herman Miller power boxes. Explain this to me.
I love Herman Miller. I love Herman Miller. Got to say that up front.
Show me this.
I
love
power.
their chairs.
I love boxes.
I love their what?
So
I'm sitting in Herman Miller chair.
So this is so you can carry your power with you because I guess plugging in. None of us has plugs. I don't get it.
Well, apparently there's some places
for an open office environment
where you need it.
Well, they don't want to. They don't want to have to put plugs in anywhere.
Actually, I might get one of these.
You haul around a 8-pound battery.
It must be heavy. How many?
There's got to be a cheaper way.
You can work
Herman
for
Miller one has got to be
periods.
$1,000.
Every battery can power multiple electronic devices simultaneously, and when paired with the power tray sold separately, can power large devices, including monitors. It's like you might as well bring a generator with you.
Yeah. It looks like a lunchbox.
That's what this is for, though. Like, I can imagine using this at CES.
Yeah. Yeah, I want the specs.
I thought you said using this at C, not CES, but I guess CES would also work.
Right, because I used to work out of the trailers over there where you work for,
Oh, yeah.
Like, and instead of bringing a whole giant generator, you can just have one of these on your desk.
Just have a little power box. 800 pounds.
Small power box costs $200.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
I'd take
large.
How many milliamp hours are? I keep clicking the specs button, but I
don't know.
Ever get any actual information. See the details, okay? That's the details? Dimensions.
Like materials? Dimensions?
Try to buy one. They'll tell you then.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of dumb.
Herman Miller.
It is pretty dumb.
It's not the usual lovely design that Herman Miller is known for.
Yeah, I want it in cartel red.
You can get a nice cart for it.
Yeah, it comes with what doesn't come with it. Trolley sold separately.
No, you got to buy it.
Yeah, that, whatever it is, USM.
Yeah, Leo, if you hadn't bought any Herman Miller, you'd still be rich now.
I know, Herman Miller's expensive, but I think this is intended for WeWork. Attention, Adam Newman. We've got a product just for your WeWork spaces. Ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded The pain is over. You can resume your normal activity. We are done for the day with This Week in Google, starring Jeff Jarvis, the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation.
News.
Oh. We can't get him to shut up.
Yes, as usual.
Anyway, the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York, deorbiting soon. What is the timeline for that? You're going to do this till the fall,
Well, basically,
right?
I'm now. What is this? Basically, I think I'm actually now on leave.
On leave.
As
so
of today.
Can we stamp this on
Congrats.
leave? This is the old
leave,
card.
yes.
This doesn't even say emeritus on it. This is. Oh, wait a minute.
So I'm on leave, and then I'm emeritus.
When you have
August.
when you have a new card, you should shred the old card. Actually, now I have two. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to autograph this in dry erase marker and send it to you, Jeff, so you have a copy.
Or you could sell it on eBay for the good of the show.
It's true. That could go towards our Twit 24-hour live stream.
Exactly.
Paris, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm here for it.
You could do. You could have a skee ball demonstration.
That's true.
You could.
We could do some trivia.
Trivia.
Jeff, you'll be very proud at trivia this week. I won our team 4 whole points because there was a question about the origins of a word, and the answer was magazine. It was about the Arabic origins of the word magazine, and I was like, I know this one, guys.
Wow. Does it
I've
come
read
from Make
Jeff's
America
book,
Great?
Magazine. Again, yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay. That's Paris Martineau. She is a prestigious writer for The Information, where she does investigative journalism. If you have a good tip, 267-797-8665 is her signal number. 267-797-8665. Thank you, Paris.
8655, actually. But yes.
8677-85.
309. Jenny.
Paris, I got your number. We do Twig every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 UTC. When we start the show and before we end it, we stream it live to YouTube at youtube.com/twit. So you can watch us do it live. And if you're doing that, you really should just join the club, because then you can chat with us live in our Club Twit Discord, twit.tv/clubtwit. I do invite you, by the way, to go take the survey. We want to get everybody in here. It's the best way we have of knowing who you are, what you're interested in. And also, when our advertisers ask, we can say things like, yeah, we have a few women listening. Yeah.
If you're out there,
there's a few,
let Leo know.
Please.
There's a woman within 20 miles of this podcast playing. Run.
Survey 24. We especially ask the ladies to fill it out. That'll help. That'll really help. No, I'm kidding. Let's see what else. After the fact, you can get the show at the website, twit.tv/twig. There's a YouTube channel dedicated This Week in Google. Best thing to do is subscribe in your favorite podcast client. That way you'll get it automatically as soon as it's done. Thank you. We now have 2 women in our Discord. That's exciting. That's really exciting.
Huge. Really big. The club grows stronger by the day.
No, we're doing all right. It is a male-dominated audience, I think. But you know what? That's what we do the survey for, so we can find that out.
That's why we have one of your new sponsors is Hims.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, how do you know
yes,
that?
I got the email.
Really?
We get an email every time there's a new sponsor.
Oh.
Robinhood is also one of them.
Robinhood,
and
I
because
saw.
we've mentioned them, we have to say they're a sponsor.
Anytime we mention a sponsor, we like to tell you they're a sponsor so that you don't think that we are getting paid to mention them. But since we usually mention them in a negative light, it really is kind of silly to do that, but okay. Thank you,
that was
Jeff.
positive.
Sometimes we
have a male audience. It was as smart advertising.
Smart.
Hims.
They know where to come.
Hims. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis. Thank you, Paris Martineau. Thanks to all of you who watch and to those of you who do not. We will see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra Magazine, and each week I join with my co-host to bring you This Week in Space, the latest and greatest news from the final frontier. We talk to NASA chiefs, space scientists, engineers, educators, and artists, and sometimes we just shoot the breeze over what's hot and what's not in space, books, and TV. And we do it all for you, our fellow true believers. So whether you're an armchair adventurer or waiting for your turn to grab a slot in Elon's Mars rocket, join us on This Week in Space and be part of the greatest adventure of all time.